Hello, it's Gray.
Hello, it's Crystal.
And this is Bust the Asian Beauties, a supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show several times.
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we're both Asian.
Both Asian. For today's episode, we will be discussing Season 4, Episode 22, Lucifer Rising, written by Eric Kripke, directed by Eric Kripke also.
It's
the end of Season 4.
We got a double Kripke. It was what is
In My Time of Dying?
Never should be, or whatever the fuck that one's called. You know, the 221.
221?
The 221. The fucking
Before?
Jin one?
Oh!
What is and what should never be.
Okay, is it really?
That's the only other episode he's directed.
Damn. Is it the one where they were like measuring Jensen Ackles' head?
Huh?
There was like one like Eric Kripke director thing where it was like, and they were measuring Jensen Ackles' head because he was so like anal about the framing.
Huh.
And yeah, I don't think he was doing that for the framing. I think he was just doing that for himself, honestly.
Yeah.
Perhaps
so.
Let's not slander Eric Kripke in this way. I think we can slander him in all other ways instead.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right. Because I put a ban on Cockles joking last week. So I guess this week we're putting a ban on Cackles truthing as a joke.
I think we can do whatever we want forever. Crackles. I love that. Crackles. Season 4, episode 22. It's the season finale. Crystal, you don't like it. Or you don't give a fuck. I don't know which one.
Whatever. Sorry,
really?
guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching this episode, the entire thing, giggling, twirling my hair. I was so amused, enthused, excited, etc., all other positive adjectives.
You forbade us from talking about the episode before recording because you said you wanted to save it all for this. So I look forward to all the things that you have to say that I will not have.
I don't know. Like, watching this, I was like, does anybody else, like, think maybe they love Supernatural?
No one else thinks that.
I was like, is Supernatural a show that people love? Like, I'm asking this as a person who is, hosting a multi-year-long Supernatural podcast retrospective or whatever. But yeah, maybe Supernatural is a show that can be good. And there are reasons why we like it and are doing this.
It was good last week. I mean, it was also terrible last week, but it was good last week. I feel like this week...
it was interesting last week.
I didn't know why anyone was making the journeys that they were making besides Cass.
I mean, I think it's the Cass part that really gets to me this episode. Like, every time Dean is talking to someone else, and every time Sam is on screen, I'm like, who even give a shit? And then Cass shows up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the beginning! Like, this is when his story really begins. Can you believe it?
Yeah, the Cass stuff was nice.
Don't give a shit. You don't give a shit. Well,
no. Sorry.
Unfortunate. Well, I shall be here to give all the shits in the world. So... do we even have to do the what do you know about this episode with this one? What did you not know?
What did I not know?
I don't think anything. I think you knew more than me.
I didn't know why an archangel would come and get Cass and Chuck. I just knew it would happen. But it turns out that they don't explain why in the episode either. So it I knew everything.
Love that.
Well, okay, I thought that it would be more clear that Zachariah is the one who changes the voicemail. But, like, given Ruby's I'm a sicko smirk when Sam's listening to it, like, I feel like the episode, Ruby. Like, could just as strongly imply that Ruby changed it. So, that's weird.
Yeah. I'm sure. Is there, like, any canon back into Zachariah is the one who changed it?
Well, he said that, like, oh, Sam's gonna do what needs to be done, but he might need some pushing first. So I think that's the implication. Like, I'm gonna make your relationship break entirely so that he'll do it. But, like...
But is there any, like, confirmation from anyone or anything? I mean, Ruby's dead, so she's not gonna confirm that.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it'll come up in season 5.
I mean, the way this episode plays out, it just fully looks like it's Ruby doing it, I feel like.
Yeah, because it's like, how would she know the contents of the voicemail? Like, how does she know to smirk unless she did something to it? But, like, I don't know. I just always was told that it was Zachariah. Like
the angels changed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well... I don't know.
I mean, they wouldn't have Zachariah have that line about having to give Sam a push without, like, any follow-through.
They will do anything in this show.
Yeah, but it matters because it changes my interpretations of Ruby a lot depending on whether or not she did it, so they need to be clear to me.
Yeah, I suppose. Let us begin. Dance sequence. I put on this episode, I was like, I'm ready to not give a shit, because you were like, I don't really care, and I was like, maybe I misremember, maybe it's not even a good episode, or even something that matters to me personally. And then I play it, and then Carry On My Wayward Son starts playing, and I'm like, does anybody else love Supernatural? You know, they have got me so bad. I feel like Supernatural has got me so bad. Will there ever be a time where Supernatural will not have gotten me?
Yeah.
I mean, probably, hopefully. It has happened in the past. Season 2, we were so miserable. I think season 2 was peak bad butt misery. Like, we were fully divorced.
Yeah.
Dance sequence starts playing. I mean, it's whatever the actual scenes until, you know, the speaking parts begin. And the first speaking part is Dean going, "Who are you?" And Cass going, "I'm Castiel. I'm the angel of the Lord."
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, he's here. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I find this so amusing. You literally do not give a shit. Well,
yeah, how do I meet you where you're at so that, like, you have something to go off of during this episode?
I'm not going to be fully positive with it. I do have many complaints.
Yeah.
And I'm about to say it.
Cool.
I mean, that's really the only thing that I care about. I don't know, in the sequence. There's a lot of course, Sam and Ruby. There's a lot of Chuck. Even.
Yeah.
So,
too much
you know
Chuck.
Instantly that, like, this is gonna be something. It's not even that much of a something. Although I suppose it's a something in the bigger story.
Well, I mean, the then sequence does end with, like, lay your weary head to rest, music stops, Dean goes, "You walk out of that door, don't you ever come back," and then the music comes back with "Don't You Cry No More" on Sam's door slam. And I mean, I did find that fun. That was pretty fun.
I the only, like, AMV fucking scene in here is the "I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high." Like, soaring ever higher is Sam, like, killing that demon in Metamorphosis or whatever. And then flew too high is, like, we pan to Dean watching all this happen, which I thought was so funny. Nice. So, yeah, as I said, I was having a blast. I was having a good time. I was, in fact, having a ball. And then we go to St. Mary's Convent, Ilchester, Maryland, 1972. This is not a one-time flashback. It shows up again later. And I hate this entire thing. It's horrible. I think it's so horrible. Okay, so what happens is, let's just quickly get through it. And it's like, there's a priest, and it's a Catholic convent. Bunch of nuns, there's 8 of them, and they're all seated. And the priest is leading some type of prayer.
We saw a sequence where he got possessed by a demon first.
Oh, yeah. Do we see in this part that he has yellow eyes, or is that later? I feel like it does happen here.
It's in the end
It's later
of
on?
this scene. It's in this scene.
Oh, the end of this scene. This is yellow eyes. This is Azazel. He gets possessed, and he's doing a prayer, and at some point, when he is, you know, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, he just goes, thy kingdom come, blah, blah, blah. Which is, I think, pretty fun for a demon. And then
Yeah.
lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Fun. I don't know. And then there are like nuns here. And immediately I'm like, oh, well, this scene is going to end with, these nuns being violently murdered by this male priest. Isn't that so horrible? Immediately my mind goes to like, this is a visual that is coming from somewhere, There is a pretext to this. And so I'm like,
Has
it
something
could be
like this
that
happened before?
Well, there's just, convents are a place where historically a lot of violence has been enacted against women, or like a place where women who experience violence in their lives are sent to.
Right.
And it's not, it's something I think about. And so I'm like, not a fan of this. And of course, this is supernatural, so this is going to end with all of the women dying. Horrible. And then I think to myself, let's not be too pessimistic, right? Like, let's just see how the story handles it. Because there is a way. No, I don't know. It's just, sometimes you're trying to say something. It's whatever. Maybe they're trying to say something.
No, they would never ever try to say something unless the something was bad. That's the supernatural rule.
Unless the something is Jensen Ackles looking at the camera with his model face. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this keeps on happening. And then, he starts being menacing. He locks the door. He makes it clear that he's a demon. And he's talking about his father, Lucifer, instead of Father God. Whatever.
I think it is interesting to give demons a religion that parallels
of course it
Christianity.
is. Yes,
it
that's
is
what I
fun
mean.
that he thinks that he's been wandering the desert for years looking for
I love
his
that.
father. Yeah,
I was like, you should read some Mary Oliver, my guy. And then, that's what I'm saying. Like, my immediate thought was like, ugh, Supernatural is not going to handle this imagery well. And then it was like, no, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, they're trying to say something here. Let them say it. And then judge. And then, at some point, a nun tries to speak up.
Yep.
Just goes, Father. And then Azazel just goes, shut your freaking butthole, you little slut. And I'm like, we're in Supernatural. Nothing substantial is going to be said ever.
Why are demons all like this? Ruby's misogynistic too. Is this day one of hell? They put you in misogyny school?
Yeah.
What is this?
What are the appropriate axes of oppression to play with in your demon situations? I don't know.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, often I dream of a world where bitch is on the list of swear words that make a show rated higher than PG-13.
I know,
I don't
yeah.
get why it's
Why it's not, yeah.
the only acceptable I guess bad swear word in terms of the tiers of strength that I learned while growing up.
It's because
what would Supernatural be like? What would they have to do instead? Probably just call women sluts instead the whole time, but maybe they'd have to get creative with it.
No, the thing is, it's an actual word. That's why they can say dick, because that's a name. Bitch is a word.
Sure.
And they can't say shit because that just means shit. Is Supernatural horrible? It well might be.
Yeah.
It's just, the thing is obviously they're not, going here being and this is an acceptable thing to do. We go back and have this fucking conversation
he calls
constantly.
women sluts all the time too.
No, but
only the bad ones.
Yeah, it's never portrayed as a good thing to call someone. However, every time they try to think of any way to portray violence or any way to, well, not portray violence. They portray violence in other ways. But every time, this is the only set of bad quote that they usually go to. It's their automatic, it's their number one, it's their go-to.
For, gender equality, can we just call a woman an asshole? Come on.
Yeah. Wasn't there like one episode where Joe
calls Dean a
like
dick.
yeah, and I was like, well, that's wonderful. Hashtag equality.
Dean is not a dick. I would like to issue an apology to the Supernatural fandom for whatever. What a guy Eric Kripke is.
But yeah, I just hate Supernatural.
Real?
I go back and forth, as I said. Yeah. But yeah. And I mean, because it is like an interesting setting to have it be like an X something, like a defiled holy place, you know? Like, I think that is a good idea, given especially that the last seal is Lilith, which was the first defiled human soul. And that's like, you know, whatever. There's parallelism there. It's just, again, it's their automatic go-to violence against women, the words that they use to engage with that even outside of the actual violence. It's annoying to me.
Isn't
personally.
it crazy that Eve in Supernatural is like the evil mother of monsters and Adam's just like a regular guy? Like, they did the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and it is like Lilith is a woman and the first demon, and yeah, these are also like defiled women who formed this gateway or whatever the fuck.
I mean, going into this, like, this scene pissed me off so much. I paused it and then I reread. There is a Filipino propagandist. There's a movement in the Philippines, like during the Spanish occupation, called the propaganda movement, and it's just, you know, a bunch of people like writing propaganda for the Filipino reform or Filipino revolution, depending on who's writing it. One of the writers there is Graciano Lopez Haina. And a lot of the writers there, all of them pretty much, their main attack is against the church. Yeah. Because, like, the church is the face of colonialism in the Philippines. And he has a piece called Fray Butod, and it's about, like, a friar of a place. Again, like, what I'm saying, I don't know, because I don't know what the Americans know about anything. But like, I don't know if like this is an idea that is present in Eric Kripke's head when he wrote this. I'm sure it is. Just because I'm not sure. Like,
what is the idea?
Violence against nuns. Specifically.
It's not something that was in my head.
Really? Well, no. I think if you're in, well, I mean, it's my upbringing, the stuff I've read, historically in the Philippines, it is like a very, it's a bell topic. Like, you hear it instantly. And,
got it.
Yeah. So, like, I paused this to read Fray Butod again because I was like, I need to refresh my mind. And so I went and read that. Yeah. And then, what evs? Well, anyway, let's go to the episode.
Well, the actual plot relevant things is that the doorway to, like, the cage or wherever Lucifer is in the convent. That's what he's discovered. And he mentions that a convent might have been built here because Lucifer is an angel and, like, someone sensed that, like, angelic energy and there. Like, built something holy there, which I think is an interesting concept.
I think that's fun, yeah.
And then also his eyes turn yellow at some point, revealing him to be Azazel. And then he, like, says that he's gonna kill all the nuns or whatever the fuck. Yeah. So yeah, those are the plot things that happen before the rest of the episode.
Yeah, except all of those happened after the "shut your friggin' pie hole, you little slut" line. And so I just zoned out completely in anger. So yeah, thank you for the recap. Well,
yeah. We cut to where Sam's at, and where Sam is at is brooding. It starts with a shot, like a very close-up shot of his face, and like
lovely.
His surroundings are kind of blurry because he's busy. He's contemplating shit.
He's so sad. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ruby is by her car, which is a very fun orange thing with like a black stripe down the middle. Like
it's so
pretty
orange.
great.
It's a beautiful orange too. Like it's not an ugly orange or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. It's kind of muted. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, thought had to be put into this. They weren't, like, this isn't an evil-looking car, so, like, what was their thought, like, behind getting this car for her?
For Ruby?
Yeah, like, what is it? What does it symbolize?
This is Ruby's car?
She drives it.
Oh, yeah, you're right! Because in my head, I was like, Sam sold this car, or whatever. But you're right, this is probably Ruby's car. Most definitely Ruby's car.
She does have a different car when we see her drive in Chris Angel or something, right?
Yeah.
So, it's probably just the latest car that she's stolen, but, like, why'd she pick it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, they're trying to do a color thing, because, like, the beautiful room is, you know, like that kind of lighting. Color.
I love that we both call it the beautiful room when that is, in fact, what the room in So Says the Sword is called. Whereas, yeah.
Wait, it's only called the beautiful room in there?
Yes.
And So Says the Sword?
Yes.
That's amazing. I've never read that fic, but everybody calls it the beautiful room. When they said the green room on this episode, I was like, when are they going to call it the beautiful room?
I've heard it called the green room more than the beautiful room. I think I only know it as the beautiful room from So Says the Sword. Wait, you've never read So Says the Sword?
No.
But
I do not like...
Don't you bring it up when you talk about how, like, you will like AUs that can still fit into canon? Like, how do you know that you like it if you haven't read it?
I never said that.
Maybe that was a different conversation with a different person, but...
I think maybe I did say that I like AUs that still fit in canon, but I do not think I would give So Says the Sword that since I've never read it. Or maybe I did and I'm completely lying to everyone and you and me.
But I swear, like, I definitely felt like you read it. So, like,
I have read parts of it and then I gave up. So I suppose I did read it, I just did not finish it.
Okay.
I know Anna is the one who saved Dean in that one, right?
I don't remember.
And Cass is like his guard. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what happens. And I mean, I'm sure it's a wonderful fic. Everybody loves it. It's just...
I don't really remember it that well, so... It's probably good. I think I liked it when I read it, at least.
I mean, maybe, like, the orange is like, deception, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the black stripe with the orange, like, I'm sure there's, like, poisonous or venomous creatures that have that kind of coloring, maybe?
That's true. It could be, like, a poisonous thing. Not venomous, but yeah. And she's poison.
Yeah. No, wait, poisonous means that... Okay, wait, not
poison
venomous.
means if you eat it, you'll die.
You'll die. Right, are
venomous, they bite you.
Are... What's
they're not supposed to be...
creatures?
Because the point of being colorful is like, don't eat me.
Don't eat me, right.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be eaten.
Yeah, like, I'm not good for eating.
Venomous is like, I don't want you to see me coming because I'm gonna bite and kill you so I can eat you.
I'm gonna attack and kill you, yeah.
Yeah, with a branch even. Ruby's asking Sam if his head is in the game. He's zoning out for a bit.
He's Troy Bolton. He's literally good. Troy Bolton.
Well, I don't know. What scene in Community is this about?
It's High School Musical, man.
Ruby asks him if he's okay, and Sam's like, I just said I was.
Why are you not listening to me?
What?
No. Like, that's what he's saying to Ruby.
Oh, yeah. So Ruby goes, look, I know hand-holding really isn't my thing, but still, Dean was wrong saying what he said to you. And, like, the thing is, like, later we do see her trying to, like, say things to hurry Sam along or to get him to do things. And, like, she's not, like, very good at sounding genuine, and she's mostly just, like, frustrated and being forceful and stuff. Like, that is the Ruby way. So, like, I think it does mean something, I think, that, like, this one does sound genuine, but, like, that's why I'm like, did she change the voicemail or not?
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if this is genuine or not. Like, it serves the same purpose. Saying Dino's wrong about you is saying that, Dean was wrong for calling you a monster. This is not a bad thing you're doing.
But later does say,
changing
like,
the voicemail is like, see, Dean already thinks you're a monster. And at that point, the situation has changed because there is an innocent person that they're about to hurt, and Sam is very aware of this. And so it's like, you're already a monster. Dean already thinks you're a monster. So, like, just push through with it. So it's
I should have included what she
thing.
says after immediately, which is, well, after we're done, you guys will patch things up. I mean, you always do. Like, I feel like that also sounded genuine in some way. And I feel like that is at odds with the voicemail.
Well, again, it's like, I don't know. It's to the same conclusion. It's just a different situation now, is what I feel.
Like, and the same conclusion is just getting Sam there. I just don't think she's, like, a good enough actor to pull this off if she doesn't feel somewhat bad about it. Yeah.
I've been thinking many things about Genevieve Cortez's acting throughout this entire season. And the general consensus between the two of us is she's terrible. But now I'm like, is she supposed to be terrible? Like, I mean, Ruby is like playing Ruby is playing 4D chess with Sam, and therefore Genevieve Cortez Padalecki has to play 5D chess with us.
Right.
I mean, have we considered?
Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
Maybe she's a bad actor on purpose. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, maybe she's not bad. She's post-good, just like Blackpink.
It literally is. She's literally post-good.
But, like, okay, I guess Dean was wrong saying what he said to you. Feels like she was told about Stanford fight and, like, knows, like, the
implication of the
Dean
everything.
Saying that, which I think is neat. When do you think Sam told her?
I don't know.
Also, is Stanford fight, like, a sensitive topic for Sam? Like, is it something he doesn't want to talk about? Or, like, was he at, like, every single college party at Stanford being like, and then my dad said, like, what is the level of sensitivity of it?
I don't think it's sensitive, more like he just can't talk about it. Because, like, it requires context to understand. And he can't talk about the context. So, like, really, he can only talk about it with people who know the context. And so,
I don't think it requires, like, he can just say, like, my dad
wants me to stay in the family business.
Car mechanic. Yeah. Like, that is how he frames it to his, like, after-school special teacher. I think that he could fully tell it to other people.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Do you think so?
Like,
do you think it's a sensitive topic?
I think that Sam knows that he's fully in the right. And, I mean, it's sensitive in that, like, I don't know, sometimes, like, he probably doesn't want people to know that his dad sucks that much. But, like, I don't know. I think he probably would have first brought it up with Ruby as, like, like, Dean's never gonna get it. Like, when I went off to Stanford, this thing happened, and, like, Dean said nothing, and he was on John's side, and he still is mad at me for going to Stanford, blah, blah, blah.
The only way that Sam will talk about it with Ruby is in the way you said, which is that he's saying it to explain something else. Like, how Dean is acting, or his, like, why he has come to the conclusion, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Sam will ever talk about it in an emotional way. like ever. It's always gonna be like a part of a logical process.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I guess it's like Ruby regarding Sandy. Like, she thinks that after this is over, Lucifer's gonna rise and Sam's gonna be rewarded. If, like, what Sam wants is Dean to continue being in his life, like, would she assume that part of the reward is, like, not killing Dean in the apocalypse? Like, is her vision of the future after this, like, does it involve, like, potential Sam and Dean makeup?
Possibly, because, like, I mean, I think it makes sense that Lucifer's side thinks that after this is all over, Sam will be rewarded, and that includes patching things up with Dean. Because Cass later on, Heaven's side says to Dean, like, everything will be better, and Sam will be there also. So, like, I think both sides are trying to play it up, like, and you'll have everything you want, including a functioning family, you know?
Yeah. Though I assumed when Cass said it, it was more like, in heaven, you'll be on, like, a memory loop with nice child Sam in there.
But I don't think we know that yet.
Yeah,
although
we don't
Cass
know that
does
until
know it,
Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking about how in 401, Ruby was the one who told Sam, like, you should tell Dean about the demon blood thing right away. And it was just, like, to prevent, like, the falling out of, like, 420 and 421 from happening. But, like, I don't, like, is she invested in this sibling relationship in some way?
I don't think people are invested, like, when, especially here where it's, like, it's very obvious that it's one-sided. Ruby only knows Sam and doesn't know Dean. I feel like in those kinds of situations, it's very difficult to be invested in a relationship.
I mean, she doesn't not know Dean. They've talked.
No, but, like, you think, like, she's always thinking, like, what about Dean's side? And I feel like to be invested in a relationship in that way, you have to be thinking about both parties complexly. Honestly, what I see this most as is, like...
I mean, I'm invested in STL sometimes, and I only think about one party complexly.
Well, great. But I feel like the real life application of this is, like, you know, when you have a friend who has, like, another friend, and it's not like you're thinking about the other friend's perspective, but you're like, oh, you're fighting, just call it off or talk about it, you know? And it's like, it's not really, like, particularly, like, invested in the relationship, just that invested in the well-being of the person you're most attached to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Sam is Ruby's, like, only friend, but also, like, he's not her friend, he's her personal Jesus that she's manipulating. R.I.P. to both of them. I mean, Sam's place in Ruby's religion is, like, very slay, and I wish they did something with it. Like, Sam Ruby is literally like, what if you met Jesus and he was 6'4" and wrinkled his nose when he laughed and it was your job to lead him as a lamb to the slaughter, but, like, you also fully believe that the slaughter would grant him eternal life and, like, your version of heaven, and also you and all of your people. Why is it? She should have been, like, so weird about him.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any particular real life parallel to this, like, at all, to anything, so.
I mean, there's the way people treated saints, like, back when they were, like, naming new ones all the time.
Yeah, but those are, like, they're dead.
No, like, when they were alive.
Name a saint. And then let's get into it. Who was a saint who was revered when they were alive? I suppose Padre Pio was. You know what? That is interesting.
Like, there's a quote that my friend sent me from prophets in their own country, living saints in the making of sainthood in the later Middle Ages. Have you seen this quote? It's too long for me to read all of it in the podcasty.
This is interesting. Yeah. I don't think it's applicable to Sam, like, at all. But it is interesting.
Why? Like, what? Why isn't it applicable?
Because, like, the backstage, like, you know, not having a backstage.
If we're discussing it, should I summarize the quote first, or do you feel like this part is going to be cut out? The quote is about how, like, saints and also female saints specifically had no sense of privacy, because, like, basically, like, people would spy on them all the time and, like, need to see them, like, be, like, good all the time. Like,
yeah, and
saintly
they're
all
not
the
supposed to
time.
have a backstage behavior, is what
Yeah,
how
like,
it puts
yeah,
it.
right. Like, their public presence has to be their private presence. A lot of people, like, felt that they had, like, some kind of ownership over saints, where, like, they would, like, if a saint was just walking around, like, people would tear off bits of their clothes and shit, like, just to, like, have that. And then it ends with, there was, like, a Saint Romuald, who, when his followers learned of his intention to move to another place, they planned to kill him to avoid losing his body, which I think slaps so hard. Sorry to that guy, though.
Sorry to that guy. I don't think it's applicable to Sam, though, because Sam's not a public figure in this way. It's just him and Ruby. Also, Ruby
Well,
is very
in
much aware of the
season
complexities of
3
Sam's character.
In season 3,
What's with season 3?
he was a public figure as, like, the guy that Azazel chose to lead hell.
But it's very obvious even then that, like, it's not a... Like, this is someone that still needs to be formed into the
Right,
evil
I
saint.
guess. Yeah,
you know?
so he's not, like perfect
Yeah.
yet.
He is to be molded into that. So maybe one day, to other demons, Sam would be this way. But with Ruby, I just do not think it's applicable.
Yeah, because they wrote it as her, like, just, like, knowing him as a person or whatever. But, like, in the early days, it could have been like this. Also, I think Ruby should probably kill Sam to avoid losing his body. Like, I think that would probably slap.
Okay, I'm going to think about the Ruby treating Sam as her own personal Jesus line. Can you outline to me the scenes, the actions that you are taking from for this conclusion?
That she actually treats him like that, or that, like, he should be treated like that?
That she treats him like that.
Well, I mean, I don't think she does very much. I just wish that she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was still stuck on that.
No, yeah. Like,
I think...
Yeah, I said she should be weirder about him. That would be fun.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you think Supernatural would be different if so? Because, like, you know, that kind of veneration from a demon is not something that Sam would appreciate. So obviously she cannot approach it in that way. So, like, I feel like that fundamentally eradicates it. If it was to be that Ruby is lying about being a demon or whatever, like, I feel like that could be a more...
Like, she was pretending
way to do it.
To be, like, a human fan? Like, what do you mean?
No. If Ruby was an angel...
Right.
I think that could be a very interesting, like, approach to it. Like, Ruby is an angel who is secretly trying to raise Lucifer. Probably because, you know, heaven wants that to happen anyway.
Yes.
And it's like, the trickery then is like...
Sam, you were the one foretold to save us all. Like,
yes.
And I'm not going to be a dick about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. So I suppose that could be interesting. I don't know. Like, the thing about Ruby is season 3, I was like, she's so interesting. Season 4, like, it did degrade quite a lot of my appreciation for Ruby's character.
Huh. What do you think did it?
Genevieve Cortez Padalecki. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to this woman. Every time I see her, I cannot see her as Ruby because I'm thinking this is the person acting.
Fair. I mean...
Yeah.
I think it's like, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty bad acting, but also, like, this is Ruby. I think just because I always knew Ruby as this face before I started watching Supernatural. So it's just like, Ruby's just like that sometimes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, not the face, but, like, The way she speaks, I suppose. I like sometimes when she's speaking, I'm taking off the scene. I'm like, oh, this is like a person reciting lines. I'm so sorry. I'm so mean, and I am. But well, yeah, I do feel sad because like we went into season 4. This was like one of the things we were excited about, right? Like more Ruby, and it really was. And so it is disappointing for me also. I want the audience to know that it's disappointing for me also to like not be as into the whole Ruby situation as I thought I would be.
I do think that in the like reveal at the end, I think that maybe the approach they're taking is like Sam like is Jesus, but like Ruby thinks that it's like so cool that she was tasked with leading Jesus to the slaughter that like she doesn't really end up worshipping Sam. It's more just like and like, I'm like big enough of a deal that like this isn't my job. Like, I'm so great. Which I think is fun enough also. I just wish we saw like bits of it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, she calls herself awesome, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's a word that people use.
Yeah.
I just would
I
rather
mean,
not have her
they're
used
going
it.
for the two meanings of awesome there, but you're right that it does seem a bit clunky.
Unfortunate. Also, speaking of clunky, Anna really is not in this episode.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I just remembered. Yeah. She's not.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, she's in heaven jail. Like, she's not gonna break out, like, now.
No. But, like, I think I was thinking about, like, so it really is next season that Anna shows up, and the answer is yes, it is.
Yeah. And then she dies. Sorry, girl. And she didn't even get to fuck Mary.
This is true.
I mean, she did probably earlier, but we just didn't see it.
They should have brought her back, like, in season 12 just for that. And for other reasons, too, but... but mainly for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. But anyway, right, Ruby says her line about... Well, okay. She says that Dean was wrong saying what he said, and Sam says that Dean was right to say it, and he doesn't blame him. And then when Ruby says, maybe you guys will patch things up after, Sam goes, you're talking like I've got an after. And Ruby says, don't say that. Because, like, I mean, she really does think that, like, their future's gonna be great.
Yeah. Does she know? I mean, we'll never know if she knew, but does she know that that's Lucifer's vessel?
I feel like the consensus is that she doesn't know, because or else why would she say all that shit about rewards? But also, like, Ruby could be someone who thinks that being Lucifer's vessel, like, is a reward.
I just think, you know, if they brought back Ruby, just like they brought Cass back and everything. So it's not an entirely impossible thing.
Yeah.
If they did, it's like, you know, that could be an interesting avenue to take of like, well, I thought we were going to be rewarded, but like you're turning Sam into a meat suit? What the fuck is that?
Yeah. I mean, she asks after Sam in the empty in like season whatever. But
yeah,
we don't really
14.
glean anything from that.
Yeah.
How is the big lug? I don't know. I think the fact that I guess she probably got
have
all
you heard
the gossip.
Have you heard about the whole thing where it's like the blurry wife is most probably Genevieve Cortez Padalecki? Yeah. Genevieve Padalecki. Yeah, because it was a quarantine situation and they're already together, so it's probably her.
Yeah. Sam Ruby in the future.
Deeply unserious show.
Yeah.
For the finale, even. I mean, I understand it's COVID. I don't want to be that much of an asshole. But
they could just it's literally a blurry faced woman. They could CGI anything in there.
I mean, it's not just the like production. It's like the entire thing. Even the script is bad. Everything is horrible.
Yeah.
Supernatural is such a bad show.
I agree. Sam says, I can feel it inside me, Ruby. I've changed. For good. And there's no going back now. I know what I gotta do. It's okay. I'm just saying, Dean's better off as far away from me as possible. And then he says, like, whatever, let's just do this, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean, though? He says that there's no after.
He's gonna die.
Yes, and then he says that he's changed for good and that Dean's better off as far away from him as possible. Like, why?
I don't know, it's probably just better for everyone. Honestly, it is. So...
I mean, I agree that it is, because they're, like, bad for each other. Like, why does Sam think it?
I mean, it's just, I will just continue being this person because I have changed for good, as he said. And so, like, coming back and trying to fix it when I have changed so much is, well...
Why is Dean better off?
Well, because Dean is just
Sam's
always going
off,
to be
yes.
hurt.
Okay.
Dean is always just going to be hurt and disappointed because Sam is different. And Sam is not going to change back. So that hurt will just continue forevermore. And so let's just not deal with the hurt then.
Yeah. I guess I'm just used to that phrasing being used when it's like someone's safety is at stake. But I guess it's just like Dean will be sad about it. So yeah, okay.
So.
Funniest shot in the episode.
Okay. Yeah, we go to Bobby's house. And, well, we don't see Bobby's house at first. We just see Dean Winchester. He is doing, do you have anything else that might be on his face? But, like, he's frowning while doing it.
During Sam's brooding face, like, Sam was sort of looking off to the side. Like, Dean, like, he's straight to the camera. In the middle of the screen. He's looking directly forward. Like, Eric Kripke did measure Jensen Ackles' head for this.
I was gonna say, like, am I allowed to make a Kripke Ackles joke again? Well, you just did it. So, yeah, it is what it is. Well,
yeah.
And it is a very amusing face. And, like, this is what I mean, where, like, the entire episode, I'm, like, giggling, twirling my hair. Not in, like, I'm, you know, feeling the butterflies way or whatever. It's just, it's so funny. Like, this shot is so funny. Well, yeah, he's having a constipation moment. And, yeah, and Bobby's in the background, like, speaking, like, hey, are you listening to me? And Dean's like, I'm not calling him Bobby. And Bobby says, don't make me get my gun, boy. Which is, like, you know, truly a thing to say. His solution to everything,
truly
apparently.
do solve problems in ways, but by ways I mean only one way, and that way is gone.
Dean is saying, like, ugh, we just have to stop the apocalypse. Who gives a shit? Dean is so annoying. And Bobby is, again, playing the mediator, playing the middleman, playing the middle ground center. I know you're pissed, and I'm not making apologies for what he's done, but he's so annoying. Is Bobby so annoying? Bobby is.
Yeah. Also, when he gets angry later, I'm like, I don't think Jim Beaver's a good actor.
Like, I think I said, like, maybe last episode that I think Jim Beaver is a bad actor.
Yeah.
And you know what? 422 Supernatural went into my screen and said, I will confirm this for you, Grey Babpod.
For real.
And it did. Yeah. Yeah, Bobby is saying, he's your, and he goes, blood?
It's so
He's
funny.
my blood. Is that what you were gonna say?
Like, literally, why would that be why Bobby was gonna say? Like, everyone knows that the end of that sentence is brother. Like, does Bobby constantly say, like, he's your blood? Like, I don't really think this is, like, a Bobby phrase. Like, why would Dean anticipate it like that? It's so funny. It's like, how dare you say the word blood in this moment of sensitivity for me? And it's like, no one was going to say that. And also, the word blood is a problem for you now. Like, maybe you should quit your job then.
Yeah. Yeah, Bobby goes, no. He's your brother. And he's drowning.
Like, maybe you shouldn't have done, like, medical abuse
Everything.
on him,
Yeah.
Bobby. Like, yeah.
Exactly. And Dean is, you know, defending his stance, whatever. And it's too late, etc., etc. He says, Sam never wanted part of this family. he hated his life growing up, and he ran away to Stanford. First chance he got.
So funny.
It's so funny. He got a full ride scholarship to a prestigious university.
Okay, like, I understand being angry because, like a rich Chinese kid could have gotten that instead, and Sam just stole that from them. But, like,
Literally. It's so stupid.
I will never understand that the main Sam and Dean conflict that's gonna continue until 1516 is that Sam got a full ride to Stanford and went there. Like, okay, like, good.
Like, hello? I mean, if it was like just a fuck all university, it's like, okay, yeah. It's not such a weird thing.
No, I think that if Sam wants to go to college, he should go to college wherever, and it doesn't matter. But, like, it is a little more ridiculous that each time they're like, I'm so mad he went to Stanford.
I know. No, what I'm trying to say is, like, if Dean was like, he went to college, first chance he got. He went, like, that is a completely different vibe, you know? Because it's like, you're choosing a career that is different from hunting by studying. Yes. That's a different implication. Versus
but he went to
Stanford. As if Stanford is the thing that is so bad. And it's like he's literally at Stanford.
Like, if he went to University of Kansas, it'd be like, it's okay that he did that. But, like, it's Stanford, so...
Exactly, that's
Kansas a real college? Probably.
I mean,
University of Kansas. Yes. Okay.
What's their mascot?
Oh, it's in Lawrence.
Oh my god, hell yeah. That's why those kids were there, probably.
Oh yeah, the ones in
the Jack.
What is it called?
The Jack's friends. What are you talking about?
Is that the name of the episode?
No, it's they get introduced in the episode where John comes forward in time.
Lebanon.
Wait,
they're not even in Lawrence. They're in
That's
Lebanon.
Forgive me. It's the same first letter, so it's all the same to me. I'm so sorry, people of Lebanon, Kansas, and also Lawrence, Kansas.
I was right. Stacy Lebanon is in the episode Don't Go in the Woods. And this is why I did better at the Supernatural episode title quiz than you.
No. Here's what I'm going to say. So Lawrence is like their house. Their house was there, right?
Yes.
Okay. He's coming back home. Do you think how are we weighing this? If Sam was like, I'm gonna go to college, and it was, as he said, University of Kansas, would John react different?
I mean, I think the fact that he went to California means something, but also, like, they go to different states, like, every week. Like, I don't think that California is actually farther away from them than anywhere else, except I guess Kansas would be closer just because it's the center of the U.S. And, like, mathematically, that's how it goes. But, like...
This is true. Yeah.
Is that even how it goes mathematically?
No idea. I don't know. Maybe I think there is...
I think there's like
there is a sense of seriousness about getting a full ride scholarship to Stanford. Like, you don't just get that. You have to apply for it probably like multiple times, or like there's several more levels to it than just, you know, the regular application for not a full ride.
No, I mean,
is that true?
Okay, I mean,
I know about the FAFSA or whatever.
Stanford has need-based financial aid, so yeah, it just means that Sam would have to fill out the FAFSA. But you fill out the FAFSA for like a lot of colleges.
That's true.
But like, also, like, I don't think John like does his taxes. Like, from what tax form was Sam drawing from to fill out the FAFSA?
Bobby Savagard, probably.
Oh yeah. Okay. So like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, do we get canon on how far in advance Bobby knew about Sam going to Stanford and the applications and such?
I have no idea. I have thoughts in my head. I don't think any of them are canon. Due to, I think Bobby hates Sam.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I think there is like a class element to he went to Stanford. Like he thinks he's like way too
better
good
than
for
everyone.
us or something.
Yeah.
They have to consult professors and hunts. Like if Sam was like, I'm gonna study like religion
Anything.
at Stanford, and like would they be like, okay, yeah, like go lore boy, go?
No, exactly. Like if Sam was like, I'm gonna be a priest, is it like, what's the situation there?
I don't know. I mean, according to like 419, John was just like, if you even think about making a single friend, I'll kill you. So I guess it doesn't matter that much, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
God, it's so funny. Like, Dean says, like, it's like deja vu all over again, right? So he's like, Sam drinking demon blood and then beating me up and then leaving us just like when he went to Stanford.
Oh, God.
God, he's
so
crazy.
He's serious.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, by the end, Supernatural's like, it was okay of Sam to go to college, but it takes them like 15 seasons for them to be like, and it wasn't an act of abandonment and evil on his part, right? Like,
wasn't that like, you're talking about the episode where they were kids again and Sam plays Boggle, right?
yeah, wait, I don't even know what their stance on him going to Stanford is.
It was like,
I think
honestly,
at the end, isn't Dean like, you were right magazines. To go?
No, I think I forgot, but like, in their childhood shit, like, Sam is seen having, like, reading, like, how to get into college magazines.
I think it was he was doing practice tests for the SAT or something.
Was he even old enough to do the PSAT during that time? I don't even know. I don't even think that's true.
You take the PSAT in 10th grade?
Really?
Yeah.
I did a PSAT during 8th grade.
Oh, wow, that is early.
But, like, honestly, I don't think it's, like, anything.
Like,
no, it was, like, it was one of those things where, like, our school is just looking for ways
had
to
extra
spend money.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm a dormer. So they were like, okay, are you staying it during the weekend in the dorm? And I was like, yeah. Do you want to take an exam? Okay. And then I did.
Well, how was it?
I don't know. I don't think I got the perfect score, so that's bad.
Oh, most people don't get a perfect score. I think that's fine.
I mean, I have classmates who got the perfect
you
score.
You were in 8th grade.
I don't know. People are intelligent. Maybe. Or maybe not.
I mean, I believe that you had classmates who did it, but like, congrats.
Congrats to them.
I don't know how old Sam was supposed to be in Take Me Away From You. Like, Dean was probably like, was Dean like 16 or like younger?
I don't think so. Because Dean in that thing was 17.
Or Drag Me Away. Oh, okay, so Sam was 13.
And Dean was definitely younger in Drag Me Away From You. In After School Special, Dean was like 17, right?
I think so. He was like a senior, yeah.
Yeah, and he was definitely younger.
I mean, it's just because they cast a fucking 25-year-old or some shit for him.
No, he was, I swear to God.
Special.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess
like
Sam
15
was
then, or 14.
Early.
Yeah, Sam was really into it.
Good for him.
He says, I am sick and tired of chasing him. Screw him. He can do what he wants. He literally, I do think it's so fascinating that Bobby was like, you're like a whiny brat. Because he literally fucking is. I do think that's fun.
Agree. Why would he, like he said, like, don't ever come back. But like, he's like very back and forth on whether he wants Sam back, like right now, like already. Like, why would you say that shit if you didn't mean it? I guess just to hurt in the moment.
Yeah. Dean is like, I'm not even sure he's my brother anymore. If he ever was.
It's so crazy. Like, what is... like, if he ever was, like, is that, like, a demon blood thing? Is that, like, he always didn't like me, so that means that he was never my brother? Like, what is that?
I mean, I think it was like, he wanted out of this family and he never considered himself a part of it. And so, this, I suppose, like, what's being said here is less brother and more like, he's not my family. Because, like, he didn't want to be, kind of.
Fair.
But also a part of it is that he did tell Sam, like, I think you've been a monster all along.
Right.
So, I mean, he can also be coming from that place. And then the funniest scene happens.
Yeah, Jim Beaver is like, time for me to do my audition for my community theater production of, I don't know, Lear.
Bobby stands with his back against the camera. He's like emoting with his body, whatever. It's so bad. And then he reaches onto the desk, sweeps everything off with his hands. And then, he goes up to Dean. And Dean is now standing. And Bobby's right in his face and he's going, "You stupid son of a bitch." And it is so bad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to everybody. But it's just, I feel like, I'm not a connoisseur of good acting. I do not know when good acting is happening. But I do know
when bad acting is happening.
Yeah, I'm a connoisseur of bad acting. And, well, this is one of it. Well, boo-hoo. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, princess. God, Bobby is so funny. Wasn't it last episode where we were doing that bit about he was like, "Oh, you were gonna be the angel's bitch? Sorry, sucker."
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like, gender affirmation is only valid when, like, you like
He's
Dean.
not that mad yet. Yeah. Yeah, and then Bobby goes, "Are you under the impression that family's supposed to make you feel good? Bake you an apple pie, maybe?
Not a good
to make
line.
You miserable. That's why they're family."
Like, this could have been, like, a decent speech if he cut out the fucking apple pie thing, like, in the middle. Like, it doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever besides, like, a Dean pie joke. Like, are you under the impression that family's supposed to make you feel good? They're supposed to make you miserable. That's why their family is, like, an okay line.
No, I think
but, like, he fucked it.
The reason why it feels so stunted is it's supposed to come in threes. So make you feel good, bake you an apple pie, and then something else should come after that. And then, no, they're supposed to make you miserable. I think
That's
it's
true.
More of he's listing things, except he only lists two things. And it's like, well, you should list a third one to make it concretely a list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Eric Kripke, take notes.
Exactly. Eric Kripke, come here. But also, it could be that he's writing Bobby to not... Like, maybe Bobby is acting in this scene.
Yeah, maybe Bobby's skills of rhetoric are limited.
Yeah, maybe he is, not involved in the sophist circles. Who knows?
Yeah. But... I don't know, like...
Oh, God. Okay, let's get into what he's saying, though.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts? I've absolutely none whatsoever. It's pretty straightforward. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this a good thing or a bad thing to say to Dean and to Sam if that happens?
If what happens?
Like, if Bobby says this to Sam, do you think it's, like, a good thing, a bad thing to say? How is Dean taking this? How is Sam gonna take it if it was said to him? Stuff like that. Whatever. Sorry.
Like,
I should stop saying whatever.
No matter how awful a familial relationship is, you still have to stick together because the nature of family is that it's horrible, but that you also have obligations. Like, I mean, I don't think it's a good idea.
I mean, I think there is substance there where it's like, when you are tethered to people in this way, you have to see it through when it's miserable. But Because the way it's worded is like,
what if you hit
it's
the bricks,
supposed to be
though?
miserable. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, because the way it's worded here is it's supposed to be miserable. And it's
Right.
like, well, it's supposed to be that when it's miserable, you get through that to get to, well, when it's not
Right.
miserable, which is a different
Yeah.
thing from it's just always supposed to be like this. And
Yeah.
I think, Bobby, this is terrible advice. I'm talking, from Grey Bab Bud to Bobby Singer directly, the character from Supernatural, who is dead. That this is completely terrible advice because it's what happens in Supernatural. You're like, their family. It's not like they feel good about it. They hate each other a little bit and they're always miserable, but
Yeah.
they've just settled into it as like, and this is how it's supposed to be. It's always supposed to be miserable. When there are other options in this situation where it wouldn't be. Like I've recommended, I think, last episode, which is they see each other like at most 6 times
a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like this is like what Supernatural was trying to say until it decided to continue past season 5, though, right? Like, this was supposed to be a show that, like, ends fully tragically with Sam going into the pit and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is supposed to be a show about how, like, family is miserable and the Winchesters are, like, in this cycle of sacrificing themselves for each other, blah, 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 and there's no escape. So, like, it's a fine line from, like, a narrative perspective, but it's also, like...
It's just...
Yeah, it's like... I mean, if that is the story you want to tell, I think that Supernatural could have done it decently. Well, and it probably would have if it ended at season 5, but... Also, like, yeah, I mean, I disagree with the sentiment.
I mean, I don't think that's the story Supernatural up to season 5 was telling, actually. That,
really?
Like, family is always going to be miserable. I mean, it is because Sam comes back soulless at the very last minute in that episode. But, I mean,
wait,
like, I think the point of it... Yeah, he's, like, standing outside Dean's door.
Wait, that happens
at the end of season 5.
At the end of season 5. I thought that would come
yeah.
in, like, in 601.
Well, I think they were afraid that they're gonna get canceled if they don't leave with a cliffhanger.
Oh, well,
or,
okay. I mean,
maybe
I'm assuming if it
renewed.
was gonna end at season 5, they were not gonna show that. They would just end it on Chuck.
Yeah, but they did not end in season 5.
Yeah, but I'm saying... Okay, wait, so, sorry, finish your sentence.
Oh, I think Supernatural, by season 5... is a story about how, family is going to make you miserable, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you love each other, and that love is gonna save the world.
Right, because he was thinking about the toy soldiers in the car.
Yeah, and he was
or
beating
something.
Dean, and Dean was like, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay here with you until this is over. And then it gives Sam back his consciousness. I'm like kind of tearing up thinking about it. Something's deeply wrong with me.
Well, okay.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Well, what point are we trying to make here?
Whether or not the point of Supernatural is that family is miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of Supernatural is like, even if it's miserable, it is people that you can count on to always keep coming back to and always be there, like no matter what. Which, like,
I mean, being there isn't always good, but I guess it is
Yeah.
good in Swan Song that Dean is there or whatever.
I don't know, maybe I've just forgotten a bulk of season 5, but what will probably, I mean, this is an idea that they revisit a lot in Supernatural, I think. Like, John says, my job is not to be your friend or whatever. My job is to raise you right. Something like that. My job is not to be liked. My job is to raise you right. So that's going to be brought up again when that happens. And it's just, like, I don't know. Supernatural fundamentally is a show about family. Is what it is. And they say a lot of things about it. And the thing is, the actions of the show, the things that happen in the show, are complex. They are, I do think they are meaningful It's just that Supernatural is also a show that feels the need to vocalize every moral of the story. And then,
Yeah.
and so you'll have like a complicated situation. As a person watching it, you're like, oh, this is how this manifests in like real life. Blah, 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 blah. You know, you can make connections with it as a person.
I don't think I've
in
ever
your
made
life.
a connection from Supernatural to family in my life.
Well, I have constantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that every time they go on screen and say their, you know, team's motives and morals, it's just a completely wild one that's like, wait, is that really what you're trying to say? What the fuck is wrong with you? And this is like one of those situations where it's like, because this line is delivered not only as a thing that Dean hears and makes him, you know, spurs him into action, but also like the thesis of what it's supposed to be. Like this is delivered with a like seriousness that you're like, and this is a fact that Bobby is saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, I think family is supposed to make you feel good and maybe bake you an apple pie if the mood hits. But yeah. And it will also be miserable, and it's going to be family both of those times. So I think like if I was Bobby, I would say here that like you don't get to absolve yourself of family the moment it's not turning out the way you want it to. It's your family when it's good, and it's your family when it's bad. And you don't get to, well, with Sam specifically, you don't get to make that choice now that, you know, whatever. And the complexity, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think that is something that Dean would benefit from hearing.
Like what? Why is Bobby encouraging Dean to make up with Sam? Like, just because, like, he should, because it's bad that he was mean to him? The apocalypse is not, like, what's the strategic reasoning here? Not that, I know this goes against everything we were saying, but, like, what is the strategic reasoning here? Stop him from drinking too much blood to kill Lilith, that he'll, like, turn into a monster or whatever the fuck the cast said.
Well, they're trying to stop the apocalypse. Dean has promised that whatever, he's going to be the one to do it with the angels. And so maybe there is a sense of like, okay, that's probably gonna be solved in some way due to Dean has already promised it. And the endings of those stories are either everything is fine, is great, the Lilith thing blows over, and Sam and Dean are still fighting. You know, everything that Dean said will stand during that moment because, you know, he is the one who got chosen by the angels, and he is the one who stops the apocalypse. Any apology Dean says after that situation is kind of like it's null because it is removed from the context already.
Right.
And it has the benefit of the foresight already, and it would feel like, oh, I forgive you because it turned out well. I think the point of this is for, you know, to make sure that like whether it goes well or whether it goes bad, we fix this. And so whatever the outcome is, we will always have that, like, you know, we're fine now. And if it goes well, we're fine after. And if it goes bad, we're dead, but we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Also, Cass was like a total liar. Sam was like totally normal core after he drank that nurse.
Well, I mean, his eyes did turn black, but like, I don't think it means anything. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
like,
it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't like, he didn't act different.
Yeah,
like,
still Sam. I don't know.
He was still fully Sam and all that shit. Like, why would Cass like say that if it was not true? I guess to manipulate Dean into saying yes.
Of course, yeah. He is Dean's personal Ruby.
No, I mean, Bobby is Dean's personal Ruby, given the parallels between Sam and Dean's opening scenes in this episode.
Dean says to this that he told Sam, if you walk out that door, don't you ever come back. And he walked out anyway. That was his choice.
So true. The best way to convince someone to stay is to present an ultimatum in the exact same language as your abusive dad did when Sam also chose to leave due to the ultimatum being presented by an abusive person in his family.
Like, Dean was like, it's deja vu. Sam left, then it's Sam left again. Who started the repetition? Who did, Dean? Let's do, this is like an ABC multiple choice. Sam, Dean. No, it's neither and both. It's an ABCD multiple choice.
Yeah.
Good Lord. But.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And Bobby said, you sound like a whiny brat. No, you sound like your dad. Well, let me tell you something. Your dad was a coward.
Real.
Yeah, Dean was acting defensive. And Bobby goes, he'd rather push Sam away than reach out to him. That doesn't strike me as brave. You are a better man than your dad ever was. So you do both of us a favor, don't be him. And Dean does a face in you're a better man than your dad ever was. Kind of like he scoffs like in disbelief. And that did get me thinking. Like, John treated Sam terribly.
And Dean.
Oh, well, John treated Sam and Dean terribly. I mean, we've talked constantly about how Dean goes back and forth a lot on like whether John was terrible or not. And I did mention at some point that like when other people say John is terrible, Dean gets really, really defensive. But with Sam, there are moments of honesty between them of like, that was fucked up, wasn't it? And the difference in those cases is like, he shared those experiences with Sam. A lot of those experiences. And so there's a thinking of like, oh, Sam is the only one who knows. Like, he's the only one who can also speak of it in this way. I think Bobby is a unique case of also knows. Like, he wasn't the receiver of, John's abuse the way Sam and Dean both are. But he was also there, while they were growing up. And he must have known for sure. And, here, obviously, he knows. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those lines where I was like, if Sam said this to Dean,
I don't think it would have gone well.
Well, okay, I don't think it would have gone well, but it would be a different kind of not well than if another person said it, If someone on the other side of that Sam, not Sam spectrum, said, you're a better man than your dad ever was. It would be like bad enough. Don't say that about my dad way. And if it was like Sam who says it, I can't really decipher how Dean would think of that. I think it would be more on the lines of us like not venerating John, but also like, but in a more, I'm not a good person kind of situation. I feel like it is only coming from Bobby that Dean can absorb this statement.
Yeah.
Because, like, Bobby also knew John outside of, being Sam and Dean's father. That's something. Because, like, other people probably only know John as a hunter. Sam and Dean only know John as a father. And Bobby
they
has
were
seen
also
John
hunting
be both.
buddies with him.
This is true, but always in the context of I'm hunting with Dad.
Yeah,
So,
and like,
and that is a different
he'll only
dynamic.
tell us things on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah, and all
And
that crap.
he like directs the hunt, blah blah blah. So he is acting as a hunting father and not partner.
Yeah. Bobby, who knows John as a hunter and thinks he's terrible, right? and also knows what John did to these two. It's like, that is a person who knows both sides of the story. And when he says this, it's like, Dean will scoff at it, but he does absorb it. He does internalize it. Dean is internalizing this. And he internalizes this by turning around, looking out of the window, and we go back to a close-up of his face, and it's a different, tortured face, but also the exact same. It's a close-up. It's a really close-up. We barely see the surroundings. And then he turns around and we don't see the surroundings still. But he is like confused. He is in a beautiful room.
It is. It's really nice.
It's a nice room. It's nice in a bougie type way. But like in a way where like I don't think these people quite understand what makes a place look expensive type way, you know what I mean?
Huh. Like the set designers?
No, not the set designers. Or I suppose the set designers, if you mean the angels as the set designers.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think the set designers knew exactly what they were doing here. You know, it's like, it's so claustrophobic. All the lights are artificial.
Wait, like as opposed to what? Like candlelight?
No, like the sun.
Well, I mean, there can't be windows in this room.
Obviously.
Like, the point is that it's closed off from the outside. But yeah.
Obviously. But what I'm saying is like, you know, it's supposed to be like a room where you're comfortable and it's pretty and it's beautiful. And it has all, like, a lot of the elements of what would make a room, like, quote, beautiful in this, I don't know, in this era they're trying to gather from. But all the elements are just a little bit to the left.
Huh.
Like,
I did not
the
notice
walls,
any offness.
Really? Well, I think the walls are
I was
painted
just like,
a drab
it's pretty
color.
in here.
The walls are painted a drab color. The ceiling, what do you call this? The ceiling, the lining in the ceiling, it's bad. It's ugly.
Like the wainscoting?
Not that. The one above. Ceiling. The trim of the ceiling is bad. It looks off.
I did not notice that. But that is probably true.
What's that? The ceiling is so short. Did you notice that? It's so short.
No.
And like usually, you know, grand places like this, you feel the grandness from the high ceiling. So if you have a chandelier and you're in a room with short ceilings, the chandelier, instead of making the place look, you know, bigger and brighter, is just gonna make it look really claustrophobic. And it's like, you know, the effect that's happening in this scene. So yeah. And also, the entire thing is decorated with multiple paintings. The only one that I really recognize is the swing.
Yeah.
Which I think does mean something. It does mean something. I'm sure a person smarter than me and knows more about art than me knows what the something is. I don't know. It's just to recap, like the swing is a Rococo painting. What a fucking invented word, Rococo. Like, I know all words are invented and arbitrary, but like, I don't think a word has ever been more invented and arbitrary than Rococo. But like, okay, this painting is a Rococo painting of like this lady, and she is being pushed on a swing by some man, probably like her husband or something. And he is in the back, like in the shadows. And up front, where we can see him more clearly, is this man who is like lying down on the like greenery, and he is looking up at the lady, pretty much at her like upskirt, because her skirt is flying in the air as she swings, and she is also tossing her shoe towards the man, and it's like, oh, it's an extramarital love affair, and the guy pushing the swing doesn't even know that the woman is having another lover. I think maybe this is applicable to the Destiel story.
Wikipedia
I don't know.
says that the person pushing her on the swing isn't her husband. The request is that she be pushed by a bishop.
Yeah.
But the guy instead
it.
just painted a rando.
Exactly. Love it.
So,
and I think, honestly, if it was a bishop,
husband.
that would be even more in your face regarding Destiel. But yeah. I don't know. Something, you know, betraying your...
Like, Cass is having an affair with Dean. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is important to me. I don't really recognize any of the other paintings here.
Yeah, I don't either.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I saw that one and I started giggling and twirling my hair. Which is so important to me. But anyway, what happens in this scene is Dean is walking around and he's looking at this room who is supposed to be beautiful, but is actually quite drab. And he turns around, sees Cass, And Cass is there. He is looking so sad. He is looking so like meek and whatever. And he just goes, Dean, it's time.
He says hello, Dean, first, but yeah.
Aw, yeah.
He is
says, "Hello,
fully
Dean."
looking down at the floor when he says it all. It's great.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't. Not yet. This time he's still looking straight at Dean. Later is all the looking at the floor stuff.
No, my notes say that he's looking at the floor. Did I lie?
Yes, I
To
think so.
myself?
He was looking at the floor, and then Dean turns around. He looks up. He goes, "Hello, Dean. It's almost time."
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
We cut to the hospital where the nurse demon that we saw last week is at. She's like taking a baby out.
Yeah, she's
of
being
a
an
room.
evil demon nurse.
And she's being hashtag evil and calling the baby scrumptious, which she already did last episode. Like, I don't know. I think that this demon is corny. As she is working, like, some force drags her and, like, throws her against a wall. And then we have Sam and Ruby walk fashion babying up to her.
Exactly.
And Sam is like, so, we need to talk. He thinks he's so cool. He thinks he's so
does.
funny and so
He
cool.
does.
Dean walks past a table, and then when he turns back to it, there's like a bunch of burgers and beers on it.
Hell yeah.
Zachariah and Cass show up, but like Zachariah's in front talking to Dean
And
proper.
Cass is literally
and
a
Cass is
fucking
just like,
dog on the back.
yeah, for real.
He is holding his hands behind him. Which,
Aww.
like,
yeah, and he has
It
his
is
chin
important
tilted up like
to
a bit, and his nostrils flared a bit. Like, he's trying.
yeah. One of the best things you have ever said ever in your life, just fundamentally, was when you described Cass turning himself into a statue. Because he does it so much this episode, and every single time I'm like, he's turning himself into a statue in this one. And it's like,
I think I call it like
really,
statue
really is.
moding in my notes, but he really is.
In this one, he's not statue moding. He is his shoulders are hunched down. He's embarrassed.
Like,
He is showing that embarrassment in his body also. And it makes me sad. Because, especially later, I mean, we'll get through the scene, but there is a part where, like, it is made evidently clear that Cass tricked him here. And, like, Cass's face, oh my god.
So Zachariah goes, "Hello, Dean, you're looking fit." Like, he literally wants to fuck Dean and also marry. Like, good for him. All the Dean Zachariah conversations this episode have so many pop culture references, and, like, I found it really annoying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it really took me out of the scenes, like, most times, especially when Zachariah is telling him about the apocalypse later. Like, I could not stand it. I was so annoyed, but I guess it starts here.
What, the Ali and Foreman?
Yeah, but also just, I don't know, like in the transcripts, that, like, half of the words in that fucking scene are, like, read because they link to, like, explaining the reference. It sucks, I think. But yeah, anyway, so Dean says that, oh wow,
this
we're
is one
watching
of the
yeah.
This is one of the most comprehensible pop culture reference.
Oh, this
parts,
first one's
though.
fine. Like, I mean, I know of Disney Channel and such, but like, I think later, especially, I don't like that Zachariah makes them, because I don't see why he would. He doesn't like humans.
This is true.
Like,
What are the ones
Uriel.
Zachariah makes?
Bring him back.
What are the ones Zachariah makes?
I mean, they're in the later scene. I mean, here he does mention, like, Gilligan's Island, but that's just, like, regarding Dean's
Something
life.
Dean likes and he can see. Yeah.
Okay, I guess he does Ali Foreman, and then Marsha, and then Russell Crowe. Like, that's too many. That's 3 during, like, the big reveal.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. whatever. I have a lot of hatred in my heart for Zachariah this episode, and not in like a good writing way, just in a get rid of him and bring Uriel back way. Ugh, I miss Uriel so much. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It does matter to me. Bring him back. He talked cool. When he called, like, changing angels' minds, like, conversion and shit, like, that is the type of language you want for someone who's telling, like, the character about the apocalypse. You don't want someone saying Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
Like, there's a line here where Zachariah goes, like, stop throwing feces into the wall like a monkey
Howler
or something.
Monkey?
Yeah, like a howler monkey. And that moment, I did think immediately of Uriel, and it was like, that is a Uriel line. Shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, you are not him, and you will never be him.
Uriel. Exactly.
Yeah, Dean's like, well, looks like we have the sweet life of Zach and Cass. Zachariah and Cass don't get this, which makes it even weirder that Zachariah starts, like, pop culturing all over the place later.
I mean, it's a different timeline of culture. So maybe Zachariah was really into,
like human TV, like back in the day, yeah. Maybe so.
And like the 1900s, and then 2000s hit. He's like, I don't give a shit, and he was right for it probably.
So Zachariah calls this place a green room, which is like the place that performers wait before a show. And which I'm glad that I looked that up, because like people have been calling it the green room for years, and I'm like, is it just the coloring on the gifts? I don't think the walls of this room are green, you guys. But yeah, no, it's
just
means
a
something.
waiting room, basically.
Yes. He says that he's just trying to keep Dean safe before showtime. And then he tells Dean that he should try one of the burgers because they're his favorite from that seaside shack in Delaware. You were 11, I think. Creepy. Love that.
Love it.
Yeah, but then unfortunately, angels are misogynistic, demons are misogynistic. Like, I'm getting the vibe that Supernatural may just be misogynistic.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting the vibe that maybe they just think everyone thinks like this.
Yeah, or, I mean, and by everyone they mean men, because that's, like, their ideal audience, and also the only people they think of as people. Zachariah goes, well, okay, Dean doesn't want to eat the burger, so Zachariah goes, no. How about Ginger from season 2 of Gilligan's Island? You do have a thing for her, don't you? And we'll throw in Mary Ann for free, and Dean's like, well, maybe, but no. But whatever, it sucks. We all know it sucks.
Had this conversation
with
Gabriel. Like, what the fuck is this, people? I mean, Dean says, I don't know if he says it now, but like the holodeck. That's a Star Trek reference.
Okay, what is that?
There's like a room, and you go into the room, and it's a hologram.
Okay.
It's such a, you go into a deck and there's holograms. No, it's just like, for example, I mean, you're in the ship for a very long time and you're like, I want to see some greenery. You go in there and it looks, feels, acts, smells, whatever, like the thing you want it to be. So yeah.
Okay, so there's no real consciousness behind the people in there.
Yeah, there is an episode where Riker, this is from The Next Generation, where Riker goes into the holodeck and perhaps falls in love with a woman in a jazz bar. I have no idea how that episode concludes because I don't remember. So I mean, probably not like, probably it didn't do anything egregious because I don't remember it, or maybe it did and I chose to forget it. So it could go both ways.
I guess like the interesting part about this is that Gilligan's Island, like, it like mostly ran on the TV like in the 70s and the 80s. So like probably like Dean was like 1 to 10 years old or whatever.
There are reruns of everything.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think that it's interesting in conjunction with the burgers that he
11.
ate when he was 11.
Yeah.
Like, Zacharias seems to be relying on, like, childhood comforts, if you could call, like, manifesting a woman from a show when you were a child for you to fuck a childhood comfort.
Did we ever get to look at what the veer is? Which is, of course, an important facet in supernatural analysis. Why
Is this because of the post about
the Jerry Wannick post?
The what post?
The Jerry Wannick post.
Is that the URL of the person?
No. Jerry Wannick is the set designer of Supernatural.
Oh, I thought you
and
were
it was like
that.
Jerry Wannick's mom is named after the beer. Like, yeah, Jerry Wannick's mom is the name of the El Sol beer or something. And it's named after his mom. And so it shows up when Sam and Dean are talking about family. It's literally
That's really funny.
Wait, what beer
What's
is
his
being
mom's
shown here?
name?
Because I'm...
Like,
oh my god,
or something? Like,
wait. No. I think the El Sol beer is like, that's a different thing. It's just an example of a beer that they have in Supernatural. This beer, I cannot see it clearly, but it does start with EL. So, I don't know.
Okay, so the El Sol beer is the one that is in heaven, right? Because it was Dean's first drink.
So I was like, this is Dean's drink
So
with
it's
John.
also a childhood thing.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to,
Yeah,
15
at the oldest.
I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce this.
Okay.
Margie Kugel is a beer from Wisconsin, created for the show that it is named after production designer Jerry Wannick's mom and local Wisconsin beer, Lane and Kugel. So yeah, that's the mom beer, I suppose. I love Supernatural, honestly. Like us in our deep relationship with who is that set designer who is constantly in Sam's contacts?
Marianne Leal.
Yeah, we have that. We have Jerry Wannick and his beers. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Bisexual lighting. There's gonna be some of that. You know, the thing is, that shit was crazy because they do put bisexual lighting in the scene right when, like, Dean is on the floor kneeling. It's like, okay, it's like, and, like, it does seem crazy. And it probably, like, everything about Supernatural seems crazy when you're outside of it. But, like, when you're inside of it, it's like, they did do that. Like, it did happen. And it feels stupid to be pointing it out, but, like, it did happen. And, like,
the thing about bisexual lighting is that I've never seen it in an actual context where it actually implies a character is bisexual. I've only seen it in, like, queerbait shows and then people trying to use it as evidence that a character is gay. Like, I know that there has to be, like, a solid basis in reality. Like, there has to be some shows that used it for real. But, like, I've never come across one.
My favorite thing about Star Trek is there will be bisexual lighting in that thing. Just fundamentally.
Well, does it mean anything?
I mean, I'm sure there's a bisexual person somewhere in the world of Star Trek. So, and it's very well maybe
meant to foreshadow that a character is going to be revealed as bisexual?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm not saying that, like, it means something. I'm saying that it was in the show. Like, this is not like a conclusion to anything. It's just a statement of fact that there was bisexual lighting in Goodbye Stranger. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Wikipedia page for bisexual lighting says that it was literally invented in 2014 by a Tumblr fan of Sherlock who believed that the lighting was being used to signal that Dr. Watson was bisexual and would eventually be in a romantic relationship with Sherlock Holmes. So, I think that bisexual lighting may be complete bullshit.
I mean, it absolutely is. I just think it's so funny. Like, again,
like, it was invented by someone who made it up wrong. To make John Locke real and was wrong. No, like, I do believe that probably, like, later, like, queer creators have used it, like, purposefully.
Tongue in
But
cheek,
like,
yeah.
they never. I don't think that it's ever used as like a we're pussyfooting around about it thing.
Oh, absolutely
Like, I
not.
think-
And Supernatural
yeah.
never pussyfooted about anything. Except everything that they did pussyfoot around.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that like it's real and it's foreshadowing and Jeremy Carver wants us to know that Dean is bisexual through this lighting choice. I just think it's so incredibly funny that it was like the lighting outside of heaven was completely like white the entire time, and then Cass realizes that he is like Castiel, a person who was hitting Dean, and he should stop doing that. And then the outside of heaven turns bisexual lighted, and it's like, oh, love that, honestly.
God, that's crazy. And they were all Dean, as that post says.
They literally were all Dean. Supernatural. The thing, and honestly, whatever. Who even gives a shit? Supernatural is so funny.
Well, anyway, Dean says, after contemplating it for a bit, he's like, no, just tell me what the game plan is. And Zachariah says, let us worry about that. We want you focused, relaxed. And Dean, who last week said, strong, you're the farthest away from strong you can get. Try weak. Is like, I'm gonna give like the thesaurus or the antonyms like another go, but like do a bad job in the opposite direction. Where he goes, well, I'm about to be pissed and leaving.
No, but
like those are different things, Dean.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun. I don't think he was doing an antonyms. I think he was just saying things that are about to happen. And he is about to be pissed and leaving, so.
Fair. Alright.
Have we considered that maybe the reason why I think Dean is funny is because I got my English sense of humor from Dean, probably?
I'm so sorry.
So embarrassing. That is so embarrassing.
I
I probably
that
did.
happened to Castiel as well, possibly.
That's true.
Well, I
We
don't
are
know
just
if it
like each
happened to
other for real.
Castiel. It might have happened to Jack. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, you know, music made after the 70s sucks ass.
That's true. That's true. He likes The Who.
We should make Jack listen to the Velvet Underground.
Which songs would he like?
I mean, same as the songs that I like, probably.
So true.
Due to those are all the songs I know.
Yeah. So, did I already say, like, Zachariah says that all the seals except one have fallen? No. Dean's like, well, that's bad. And Zachariah is like, I would like to use your guilt against you by saying, like, I don't think sarcasm's appropriate given that you started all of this. So true. And he says the thing that Ruby told Sam, which is that Lilith is the only one who can break. Lilith is the only one who can break the final seal, and it'll happen tomorrow night at midnight. Wait, so okay, but like, doesn't it happen today night? Dean doesn't sleep over in the green room.
I mean, you can argue that time is being managed differently in there, which they could very well may do. I mean, there's no light or anything, or a clock or anything.
Okay, fine.
I think because when they were torturing that demon lady, it was night.
Okay, so but it was also night when they went there.
I mean, when they were putting her in the trunk, wasn't it day?
Yeah, that's true. The angels don't know where yet. They're just trying to figure out. And Dean is like, okay, like, so what's my job? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, should I use the knife? And Zachariah goes, all in good time. Have faith. And Dean goes like, what, in you? Give me one good reason why I should. And Zachariah goes, because you swore your
because you
obedience,
promised.
So obey. And he's like all up in Dean's face. He did promise. He's all up in Dean's face about it. And instead of looking at him, Dean looks over his shoulder at Cass standing in the back. And Cass is like looking down, all guilty looking, and it's good. I enjoy it.
At first he was looking at Dean, and then when Dean looks, that's when he looks down.
Yeah.
Oh, Cass.
Oh, Cass.
Cass. Well, we're back to Sam and Ruby, and they have tied up the nurse onto a table where she cannot move. So I don't know. There's devil's trap down there. Is she also tied up?
No. She says specifically, why isn't there a devil's trap? And Sam says, I don't need one.
Ooh, that's crazy. So when that lady later was like, I can't move. That's still Sam.
Sam was holding her. Yeah.
Sam is interrogating the demon. And she is asking, like, what's the point? Like, you're gonna kill me if I say anything. And you're gonna kill me if I don't say anything. If I get away, Lilith is gonna kill me. So what do I get from this? And Sam says, I think what you should be worrying about is what happens before you die. And then, he does his little hand wavy thing. And the demon starts screaming in pain.
Yeah.
That review that was like, what the fuck is up with supernatural and torture?
Yeah. Well,
you know what? What is up with supernatural and torture? Many things, probably.
It's like they operate under the assumption that certain species cannot be reasoned with, and the only way to get them to talk is through pain.
Through physical pain.
And I mean, that sure has disturbing implications for the world, done it?
Yeah. So we're in the beautiful room, and Dean is considering whether he should send Sam a voicemail. And then he goes, well, fuck it.
Or, probably just call him regular. Like, he didn't know that Sam was gonna pick up.
That's true. So, yeah, but eventually when he calls, it's a voice message. It's so generic. It's Sam, leave me a message. But it's okay, because, they can never make your voicemail. Ever. Ever. What is it? Does he say Castiel? I'm Castiel. It's Castiel.
It might just be, this is a voicemail.
This is Castiel.
My voicemail.
This is my voicemail.
Let me look it up. Make your voice a
I think this is my voicemail. Make your voice a mail is all it is.
Yeah, I think that is all it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, that's what Cass tells me when he's giving me my first shot of testosterone.
So true.
Dean leaves his message. And you know what? I did start tearing up in this scene.
Good for you.
Or, well, feeling choked up, whatever. He just goes, look, I'll just get right to it. I'm still pissed, and I owe you a serious beatdown. But I shouldn't have said what I said. I'm not Dad. We're brothers. We're family. And no matter how bad it gets, that doesn't change. Sammy, I'm sorry. But, and he was supposed to say more, but the voicemail ends. And then,
Yeah. Incredibly short, voicemail time available. I guess this was what life was like in 2009. I yell at my senator. I get to yell at my senators way longer than this before they cut me off on voicemail.
How long would you say?
I think it's maybe a minute and a half.
Okay, that's pretty lengthy. Yeah, this is definitely shorter than that. So, I mean, the stuff here that I like is that, my complaints earlier about Bobby saying that, it's supposed to be miserable. Dean takes what I want him to take from that. Mm-hmm. And also I'm not Dad does get to me. Because that is, that is what he was invoking, pretty explicitly in what he said to Sam. And I'm not Dad is I don't know. I feel like in the past, when Dean tries to do the I'm not Dad thing, it's always oh, I want it to be just like Dad, but I'm never going to be like him. Which is what he says in 419, And
yeah,
that is kind of the general attitude Dean has had towards John for a long time. Here, it's I'm not him, and that's a good thing.
What is gained by this voicemail in terms of Sam and Dean's relationship? If it went through regular style, do you think Sam would have turned back?
Yes, I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like what pushed Sam really was yeah, I can do this thing that is concretely bad now. Because, drinking demon blood is not just drinking, Ruby's blood, who has a vessel that's empty. I'm hurting a civilian.
If they're alive in the vessel.
And they are, yeah. But to him, he thinks of this as like kind of his no turning back. This is like for him, like an explicitly bad thing that he cannot reason his way around. If he does this, then he will be the monster that Dean is talking about. But Dean saying here that like, hey, you can still come back. Like, I want you to know that I didn't think of you as a monster. I think, you know, in the voicemail Sam does hear, hearing Dean say like, you're a blood-sucking vampire. It's like, okay, you already think of me that way. Fine, then I'll be that way. Perhaps hearing this and it's like, no, you still think of me as, you know, your brother Sam. And perhaps your brother Sam wouldn't do this. I think that would be part of the consideration. At least. If not, like, you know, actually
so he would
making
let
him
the
turn
world
back.
End?
There's gotta be another way, which is, you know, something Sam and Dean.
I mean, isn't the other way, like, the angels using Dean to stop it? Like,
yeah.
Wouldn't there be, like, a reading where it's like, well, it's nice that Dean said that I have to especially make sure he's not the one who has to end the world, or save the world and thus end himself?
But there's no certainty in that. That's the difference. Like, Sam is sure, pretty much, that if he stops the apocalypse, then it's over for him.
Uh-huh.
But there's no certainty of that for Dean, because nobody even knows what Dean is supposed to do. Because he's supposed to do nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the show is telling us that if the voicemail went through regular style, Sam would stop. But
yeah,
it doesn't seem logical to me. But I guess its feelings aren't logical or whatever.
Yeah.
So Sam's still torturing the demon. Eventually, she's like, okay, I'll tell you where Lilith is as long as you let me die, because this torture thing sure sucks. Sam says, deal. So she says tomorrow night at midnight she's going to be at the convent St. Mary's in Ilchester, Maryland. And there she's going to break the final seal. And Sam asks what that is, and she says she doesn't know, and he tortures her some more. But she insists that, you know, she really, really doesn't know. Like, just kill me, please. Pretty awful. Sam is like, okay, and he's gonna do it. But then Ruby stops him because she says that, no, we have to take her with us for, like, blood drinking and stuff. I don't see why they had to put her in the trunk. Like, couldn't Sam just drink her now? What? Like, yeah. I don't get it. Like, it's just to create conflict and to be like, oh, like, putting a woman in a trunk is pretty bad, isn't it? I wish they had, like, some if they just said some shit about how, like, you need to drink it right before you kill Lilith, because that's when it's, like, the most potent or whatever.
Also,
okay.
If they just need her blood, I don't know, make her donate her blood into a bag. And then fucking drink it
that
later.
Is also what I was thinking about.
Even.
Yeah, because, like, again, like, when we see Sam, like, get ready to take, like,
he
Lucifer
does that. It's in gallons, yeah.
Yeah, it's in gallon jugs. There's no reason why you have to take her with you. It is just to create this dilemma thing that seems, like, contrived incredibly so to me. I guess one could argue that, Ruby's, like, doing this on purpose because she, like, it's like a final test for Sam to, like, make sure that he, like, fully goes into being mean or whatever, but she didn't know that the demon was going to, like, let the vessel take over. I think it's just stuff that they made up to create conflict, which, I mean, is all of TV, but still.
Yeah.
The nurse goes, like, you promised. And Ruby, who really talks interesting sometimes, goes, sorry, sister, you're a walking, talking can of whoop-ass. Alright, girl.
Love it.
And the nurse
later
calls
she
her
says, per squeeter, which I looked it up and I was like, what a word use.
Yeah.
And in a moment like this as well.
I mean, Sam does say, can you drop the attitude or whatever, right?
Yeah. He was like, can you stop saying words that are more made up than the word rococo? What's wrong with you?
the demon is like, well, if you're gonna drink my blood, I'm gonna make it hard for you. I'm gonna peace out and let Cindy McClellan, RN, come on down.
This is a fun move, though. I know you were like,
I
this
agree.
is just to create conflict, but you know what? It's a fun.
No, I do.
It's a fun
I
way
do
to
like
create
it.
conflict. Yeah,
I do like it. But I feel like they didn't need to put her in the trunk, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I think they could, like, have her do this and then have Sam
She
have
is
to,
a
like,
nurse.
drink her now.
Like, she knows how to insert a needle or whatever. I'm sure she knows how to bloodlet. I don't think that's a proper
she's not gonna
terminology. But
believe
yeah.
that, like, the world is gonna end and we have to drink your blood so bad. So it would not happen willingly, probably. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if Ruby flashes some eyes and Sam does some powers on her, she'll be like, oh, maybe
I mean,
you're
it
for
is
real.
interesting because, like, many people are like, I remember being demon vessel or whatever.
Right, but she does not.
But she does not. And I feel like if she, like, is aware that, like, I'm being possessed, that's like okay, so there is some semblance of something is happening here, and she will be more likely to believe, well, many things.
Yeah, but apparently she just doesn't remember anything. I mean, I think most people say they don't remember anything, right? Like, it was just, like, Meg's vessel who remembered things.
I don't know, the pilot was possessed in Phantom Traveler. Did he remember anything?
I don't think so.
The only thing I remember from that episode of Bad Pod is you said acquiesce, and I did not know what it meant. I don't think I still know what it means. Every time I say it, I look it up before I say it. And every single time I'm surprised by what it means. It means either go apart or come to a conclusion that is like meeting in the middle. So completely opposite.
Yeah, it's the second one. I feel like
Okay.
I feel like I usually use it to mean like you're sort of like giving in on like
Okay.
an argument.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so Cindy wakes up and she's very confused. She doesn't remember anything. She asks where she is and she realizes that she can't move and she's calling out to them to help.
Yeah.
And Ruby's looking off at the side like annoyed that this is happening.
Yeah.
Sam is looking forward with like full horror.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is like, because throughout this episode, Sam has, his game face on. Even in that moment in the beginning when Ruby was like, are you really okay? It was like, it was because he was uncharacteristically lacking of emotion more than he is showing any actual distress. So this is the first time in the entire episode where he is shown to have any sort of distress. So I do think it makes you like remember that like this is Sam. The show is has tried very hard to make you believe that like Sam is being changed big time. There is like an aspect of it is like he is showing less emotion than he tends to. And that is a change. And now here it's like, no, like he just wasn't doing that like on purpose. Because he is putting his game face on. And this is a moment that is just a complete shock to him, like completely. So here it is.
It's the last time they worked a proper case 415. Like 419 was a case also, but like that was with like Adam, so that feels different. It's been like 7 episodes since they've done like a saving people hunting things, right?
Yeah, it's been so long since they did an actual case. And like I think even like 419, which technically is a case episode.
Yeah, like
it's like
wasn't though.
Like it was prompted not by their usual getting to a case thing. It was, somebody called. Also, like, I mean, they were supposed to do a case in 418, but completely abandoned it. Like, just
they were
immediately.
like, that ghost can just
give a
go
shit?
and murder
Yeah.
people in this comic store. At least they'll stop selling Supernatural. I think that's part of it in that, like, Sam's been so focused on, like, the large scale saving the world, whatever that means, that, like, he hasn't had to, like, face, like a civilian in a very long time. So then, like, this is, like, oh, fuck, like, there are actually people who live in the world with thoughts and feelings and all that shit. Oh, fuck. Which, yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, Jimmy could have been, like, a precursor to this, given that Jimmy is also a vessel and also, like, a guy with a life. But, like, I guess Sam's attitude towards Jimmy was just, like, get the fuck over it. I think the fact that it is, like, a young, pretty white woman here is, like, a major factor in, like, Sam suddenly caring about a person.
Well, I mean, Jimmy also knew. He was aware he was being possessed.
Right.
Etc., etc. That's why I pointed out that, like, I feel like a lot of other times there's a possession thing in Supernatural. They're kind of aware. And I do think, like, the main pull of this one is that she doesn't even know why she's here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, like, yeah, the whole young white woman thing could be something.
Just in that, I mean, Supernatural has a history of at least, like being, like,
evoking
this,
that imagery.
like, black man character is evil because he's, like, mean to a pretty white woman. I don't know, I think Supernatural deploys pretty white women as, like, victims in order to, like, do something that you can't do with, like, a white man or whatever, or, like, a non-white woman.
I do think constantly about Leonore. Was that her name?
Yeah.
The vampire. And it's like, she is the only vampire that they portray that way. It is for the intention of making you go, aww, but she's nice.
Yeah, and Gordon is a brute for doing that to her.
We go back to, I don't know, exposition in 1972, the convent earlier. And it is Azazel kneeling in front of the altar, and the bodies of the nuns are strategically positioned in this room, and one of them is on the altar, lying down. Her head is lolling at the edge of the table, and Azazel is trying to get Lucifer to speak through this nun's mouth. And he does eventually. Azazel is like, oh my god, it's you. I've been searching for so long. You don't have any idea. The others have lost faith, but not me. And it does remind me of, like, later on when we start to meet more Princess of Hell. And I think it was Dagon who was like, nah, Azazel was just weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, they took half about bringing Lucifer back, but Azazel was really into it.
The transcript calls Lucifer's voice a distorted, gender-ambiguous voice.
Yeah.
What if Lucifer was non-binary?
Literally. What if Lucifer was a he, she, they? Who would have thought?
What if?
Azazel is asking, how do I bust you out? And Lucifer keeps on saying, Lilith. And Azazel's like, well, she is in the pit, so probably not. But you know, Lucifer just says, you can. She's the only one who can break the seals, and you must find me a child, a very special child.
So true.
So, and this was 1972. When is the Mary? It was 76, right?
Oh, I have no clue. Maybe.
Mary and John meet. Well, Dean goes back in time to 76, I think. Well, that's not true because he was born 79. Okay, whatever.
The date is 1973.
Right now?
In 403.
Really?
Yeah.
So 1973. Dean was born 79?
Maybe.
How old was Mary when she got pregnant?
She's, what is she, like, supposed to be 19 in 403?
Wait, she's listed as 24 to 29 years old in the flashbacks. I don't think she was
24 in 1973. She was, what?
I don't think she was 19 then.
Wasn't John 19?
No, but I think you're thinking of SPN, the alternative universe they created in the Winchesters.
No, well, I mean, the newspaper says 1973 and 403. It says that John Winchester was born 1954, so he was 19.
Okay.
Was Mary, like, 5 years older than him? No.
No.
Mary was born 1954 as well.
Also.
So she's 19 in here. So
Well,
then
why
in
is it 24 to
1979, when Dean
29?
was born, she was 25. Where does it say 24 to 20? Is that about Song Remains the Same?
Well, in
No,
Mary
that just... No, okay, portrayed by Amy Gumnick when she was 24 to 29 years old. Huh, that is confusing. I don't know why that's the case. I mean, I guess the Wikipedia is incorrect.
Okay, well, slay.
Okay, so yeah, Azazel was told this, and then within the next year, he was already getting all the special kids, like, parents picked
Contracts. Yeah. He was really committed to the bit.
I feel like in season 2, we were discussing what Azazel's grand plan was. And so it was
always to raise Lucifer?
It was always to raise Lucifer. So, like, what was the, like, leading the armies of hell thing as a human about? Like, weren't all the demons like, Sam, we hate you because Azazel wants you to lead us and you're, like, a human? Like, that's bullshit. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, maybe Azazel was lying.
What?
Maybe he was lying. He was lying to everyone. And to
Azazel?
himself.
Like, who was he lying to?
The other demons?
That's true, because Ruby says that only she and Lilith knew.
And Azazel knew.
Wait, didn't she say not even? What did she say?
No, she didn't say not even Alistair did.
Oh, okay. Azazel was not involved in her speech. Yeah.
No, she said Azazel.
She said Azazel knew about it?
Everything Azazel did and Lilith just to get you out of here.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
They should have brought Meg back. Meg was Azazel's, like, daughter figure and stuff. Like, she should have been fucking involved in this.
Like, who the fuck are these people even? Is what I think about everyone.
like, who is Ruby to Azazel? Like, what is any of this?
You know, sometimes you hire some rando. And maybe this was that situation.
I mean, yeah, Ruby was just, like, a witch who, like, died by, like, pledging her soul to Ashtoreth during, like, the Middle Ages or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, why her? Bring Meg back.
You know those, like, law firms where it's, like, surname and it's the same surname? That's, like, that's, like, Azazel's situation with, like, Meg and the other guy. It was, like, Azazel and Azazel and the co is, like, Ruby. It's just there's a random person here. Yeah.
So true. She's the Georgie of fun funerals from the podcast Wooden Overcoats that you have not listened to.
Absolutely not, yeah.
Why did they hide it from the other demons? Because they're like a fringe religious group and the other ones don't even care about raising Lucifer.
Yeah, everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? But no, I mean, the same reason why heaven hid it from their underlings, right?
Just, like it's a top secret plan. We don't want it to get out. Fair enough.
Like, somebody's gonna get tortured by Sam or Dean, and we'll spill, and then what now?
I think it's so corny that after Lucifer's like, you have to find me a special child, like, Azazel's eyes flash yellow again. Because it's just like, just in case you, the viewer, didn't get that this is Azazel and, like, Sam's the special child, we just want to put something in here to let you know. Like, shut up. Like, I know.
Sam is, in a motel room. Did they just leave that lady in that fucking abandoned shack? Because they're in a different place.
I mean, they could have put her in the trunk already. I don't know.
No, not yet. They haven't yet.
I mean, they could be putting her in the trunk multiple times. Like, they took her out and parked her somewhere right now. But I don't know.
But later, they're taking her out of the shack.
True.
What is the Bluetooth range of Sam's powers?
Doesn't the transcript say that she's in the cellar? I don't know. I don't see why they couldn't have just tranquilized or darted her so that she wouldn't be screaming in the trunk later also. Maybe they tranquilized or darted her now, and that's why they're hanging out in a motel.
And then when they get to the trunk bit, they're like, well, we don't have any more of that shit, so.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Sam wanted to do some research on his lappy-toppy in a nicer room, and as a result, he's gonna have to hear the screaming during all the drive to Maryland.
The research just reveals that, I don't know, it reveals the fucking disembowelment of the nuns in 72, and that the priest apparently remembers everything. And he said he was possessed by a demon named Azazel. This is their, go-to that like, yeah, this is the place. But Sam is having some apprehensions. And Ruby is saying like, oh, she's just playing you. It's just an act. And Ruby says, even if she's not, there's still a hell bitch snoozing in there. I mean, come on. It's not like you haven't done this before, right? And I mean, she's right.
Yeah.
Except, the conclusion she's making from the rightness is, I mean, it's horrible that you did that and you should keep doing it because you already did it. Pretty fine. So Sam just gets this nurse who is the entire time talking about she's a real person and she has a life and a family. And if you just let me go, I don't even know you. I can't even report you. So but, eventually he does, with, some difficulty, shove her into the trunk, shuts it, and she's just screaming in there. And Sam is also in there. Well, not in the trunk. He's on screen. Bit of a tight fit if he was in there also.
We're back to the beautiful room.
You said it already.
Fun shot that people use. What?
You said the beautiful room.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna call it that, even though that's not his canon name.
Love that.
Like, that's how I think of it.
Yeah, Dean does the make the angel statue fall, which is pretty fine.
Yep, love to use it in an AMV.
Love it, yeah.
Just as it falls, Cass appears behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean
And
turns around to see
he goes,
him.
"You asked to see me?"
Which is crazy.
Like, oh. God.
I
Like,
mean, we
Dean
were
was
just
like,
talking about
praying to Cass or whatever to get him out of here, and Cass showed up even though he knew that he would not
couldn't
do
it. Yeah.
it.
And I mean, that is the thing about Cass this episode is he keeps on showing up even when he thinks he can't do anything.
And it's because he wants to be convinced.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be convinced and he wants to... You know how, I kept on being like, he's staying here... I forgot. Oh no, this was something I said about Aziraphale in that fucking car in 1960 Soho. Well, I was like...
1967, yeah.
Yeah. Well, 1960 Soho. I put an S there, so boo.
Okay. Well, I was very saddened to hear that you'd forgotten the exact year after only a month and a half away from Rubbish Pot.
Yeah, but in Rubbish Pot, I stated there that there was a scene where, Aziraphale is... it's the end of the conversation, and Aziraphale is still there because it's like, well, there should be more to hear. And, you don't know what the more should be, but you're staying there just in case. We see that with Cass, I feel, in last episode, right? Under
when
that
he stays
fucking crane.
after the honeypot scene.
Yeah, and it's like he's staying there because he feels like there's more to be said and there's more to be done, even though he knows logically that he can't say any more or do any more. And that is what he's doing here. Every time Dean calls, he answers. Every time something happens, he's there. And, I mean, he shows up in the end. Dean doesn't even call him. He just shows up. It's because he wants there to be something more. And he wants Dean to tell him what the more should be. And then Dean does. It's something to me. And also in 418, I did mention, right? I was like, Dean was praying to Cass. And you were like, no, he's not. He's praying to a general angelhood, whatever. He's asking for help from anyone. And here it's like, he is asking for Cass specifically now. Yeah. And that is also something to me. Because here, finally, Cass is Cass. Cass is not part of the bigger angelhood. Cass has helped him enough, or has shown willingness to help him enough, and also has shown guilt for Dean to know that, this is not just a general angel and then me, Dean Winchester relationship. This is a person I'm talking to. I do appreciate also that later on when he talks to Cass, it's that personhood that he calls to, right? These are people, Cass. You must know that. You must understand that. Because I see you as, not a human being, but someone capable of understanding it, because I understand you to be a person too now.
Right.
And Yeah. Well, I mean, I keep on saying this also, like, there's a face Dean makes here, and where he's like rolling his eyes a little bit and like pretending that he didn't just toss that angel down or like whatever. And it is such a weird choice to act this scene out this way right here. Like, this is a very serious time. Very serious scene. And like, you know, as you said, like Zachariah and Dean make jokes constantly. Not jokes, make references constantly.
Yeah.
But they are very rarely portrayed as jokes. It ends at the Zach and Cass one, and that's supposed to be a joke in a they don't even get what D means. But like after that, everything is so serious. Everything here on out this is so serious. And then you have the scene right in the middle where Dean tosses an angel statue down. Cass shows up and Dean looks around like, ooh, sorry.
Who did that?
Yeah, who did that? And it's like, what the fuck is this acting demure bullshit? What is this? What is happening here? And I do not know what they're trying to do.
I didn't think about it much.
I thought about it a lot.
I think even if you're in like a situation where you hate people and there's a lot of stress, like there are some instincts of like, am I gonna get in trouble that stay with you as an adult?
I don't think he's thinking, am I gonna get in trouble here?
I mean, it's not okay. I don't think he thinks that he's in any danger, but
I
it
think
is
he's
like
trying to act cute.
like the I
And I'm
feel
like,
guilty
this is
for
not the
knocking
appropriate
something
time.
over like a cat. What?
I think he's trying to be cute, and I think this is the least appropriate time for Dean Winchester.
Oh, like you think he's like putting it on a bit too much?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I've said this constantly, but like Dean, it is a bit jarring to see him interact with Cass because Cass is always treated here with some benevolence in thought, at least, like generosity in thought, like especially well. As I've said, like after the I'm not a hammer as you say scene in It's a Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester, Cass has consistently been treated with some kind of, like when he does something that Dean doesn't like Dean is surprised by this because he expected better,
Yeah,
you know.
Cass gets the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
in
benefit of the doubt.
all situations.
Yeah, Dean understands that Cass can't do it. And so, you know, you're a dick these days. Stuff like that. And I mean, I've explained it earlier that like Dean is seeing Cass as a person now who he can convince, and so just tough it out or whatever. But it is a bit odd to see in a season where Dean is so harsh to everyone that he is so soft on Cass. I don't know. It's a bit like not even like in a Destiel way. It's just
not in a Destiel way, and a why is he being so mean to everyone else way.
No. Like, why is he being nice to Cass specifically? Like, is he thinking of this strategically, or is he really just giving Cass the benefit of the doubt? And I think it's the latter.
Well, I think it's more like Cass is the only angel I know who's sympathetic to me.
Yeah.
And he holds a lot of power over me in that way.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have an option except to give him the benefit of the doubt and to hope that he'll, like, do something to help me. Like, I don't think it's necessarily strategic, but I think it comes out of, like, a desperation and, like, a power differential that exists right now.
Is it kind of like a... Well, I mean, it's not like the other angels will do even this much for me anyway. So asking Cass for much more is like, well, it's pointless. Like that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I see that.
I think so.
I think that's most evident in the "you're a dick these days" line. The way he was convincing Cass later. Why didn't he talk to Sam like that? I mean, many reasons that we have outlined in the podcast already. But like, it is shocking to hear Dean go to Cass and be like, no, Cass, but like there's people. If there's anything we're dying for, it's stuff like that. And it's like, it comes from a place of like, I believe in your goodness, and I believe you will listen to me because I believe in your goodness.
Yes.
And it's like nobody else this season is talked to in this way. It truly is Cass's season. I feel like, like to me, the most vital.
It's Sam's season to me.
This is true, but well, I am a Cass girl. So this is what the season is about. Like, if I recap this season, I will start it with I'm an angel of the Lord, and I will end it with we're making it up as we go, you know?
Mm.
And this is like the part where I start giggling through my hair every scene, but whatever. Dean is done with his fucking acting like he didn't do anything. And then he just goes, I need something. And Cass goes, anything you wish.
And he like spreads his arms out a little when he says it, like, okay, honeypot Castiel.
Literally. I didn't. Okay, slay. Anyway, Dean goes, I need you to take me to see Sam. And Cass goes, why? Dean is saying, there's something I got to talk to him about. Cass goes, what's that? Dean goes, oh, the BM I took this morning. Which is funny in that, you know, he's talking, he's being sarcastic. But also, like, because BM is a term Supernatural apparently uses as short for brother moment.
Oh.
And, yeah, so, I mean, I think they mention it in
fan fiction.
Maybe not fan fiction, maybe in
French Mistake?
The French Mistake. And, like, earlier, he did have a BM that he took this morning, you know? He did have a brother moment.
The voicemail.
The voicemail. I think that's a brother moment.
It's one-sided, but yeah.
It's a brother moment, not a brother's. So.
Good point.
Cass is like, no, not happening. Have you forgotten what happened the last time you met? And Dean's like, yeah, I mean, I haven't, and that's what I'm trying to fix. So, and he's like, oh, what? Am I trapped here forever? Cass is like, no, you can go wherever you want, just not to where Sam is. Dean goes, I'm going to take a walk, and Cass goes, I'll go with you. It's so funny. I love it. Dean is like, whatever, I'm just going to get out of here. He starts walking towards the door. And Cass goes, through what door? And then we go to Dean, and then the camera angle changes. And so it turns, it's like Dean's side of his face, and then it turns as he looks at the door, and there's no door. And then it turns as he looks towards Cass, and there's no Cass.
Fuck yeah, baby!
I do think all of the camera work in this episode is pretty fine.
Yeah.
Kill me now. Every time I compliment any... And it's like last time, I was like, the camera work was fine. It was Robert Singer, and now it's Eric Kripke. Like, let's just end it all.
I mean, there's some pretty bad camera moments later.
Which ones?
The fucking heartbeats, like, cut to Sam, like cut to a zoom of Sam, blah, blah, blah. I thought that shit was so corny. We're in Ruby's car. She's driving. Hell yeah. You can hear Cindy screaming for help in the trunk. And Sam's just looking at his phone at the voicemail from Dean, unplayed. And Ruby tells him, like, just play it already, but Sam tells her to mind her own business. And then he says about Cindy, God, I wish you would just shut up.
Well, you missed the part where Ruby goes, what are you, a 12-year-old girl? Which I didn't think
it was relevant.
Well, I thought it was like, come on, Ruby. But, I mean, yeah.
And, Ruby jokes like, well, that can be arranged with a little smirk. God, good for her. She's so
doing
funny.
A lot of evil smirks this episode. Her sicko mode smirks even.
Yeah, then Sam glares at her. Yeah. God, I feel like Sam saying, I wish you would just shut up is like, when, like, worse. My less hater friends are hanging out with me and they're like, oh God, I gotta be more of a hater in order to hang out with Crystal properly. So, like, they'll, like, say things that are mean, but, like, their heart isn't in it. Like, that's what Sam's line feels like to me. And when Ruby takes it further, like, he can't do it anymore.
For real. You are shockingly mean sometimes. This is true. But I am not the person who backs down. I am just as mean.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, Sam glares at her and she's like, I don't get it. All the demons you cut with the knife, what do you think happens to the host? How is this any different? And Sam is like, that does not make me feel better.
Well, I fucking hope so.
Ruby tells him, like, hey, I know that this is, like, rough or whatever, but, like, we are in the final lap. Now is not the time to grow a persqueeter. which apparently is a word for pussy. So, like,
Love that.
that's like, whatever. We already talked about how all demons are misogynistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam tells her to shut up because he has to bleed and drink an innocent woman. And, Ruby's still like, well, you're gonna save the world? Like, I don't get it. And Sam starts saying, I'm starting to think maybe Dean was right. I feel like this is too fast. I feel like both Sam and Dean's turnarounds are too fast in this episode, but maybe I'm just like a hater. I don't know. I guess your point stands that before this, Sam really did think everything he was doing was like 100% correct, so this is the first time he's faced with something where he's like, oh, I think this may be bad. So yeah, okay, I guess that could change your mind. But I feel like if you've been doing this for like a year, you would find yourself like falling into Ruby reasoning of like, well, it's to save the world. I feel like Sam has used like a utilitarian mindset like that in the past.
For a long time, yeah.
Whatever, they just needed this to happen because it's the finale. Ruby asks about what, and Sam says about everything. And like, we see Ruby open her mouth, but then it cuts back to like Sam's face, and like Ruby's silent for a good long while. And then she finally says, we're gonna see this through, right, Sam? Sam? So, like, she was gonna say something else at first, I think, but I don't know what it was. Probably just something mean. So, she just changed tactics. Back to Dean. He's using, like, furniture to try to bust a hole in the wall. But
I love that.
when he stops, the wall
It just reappears.
suddenly is smooth and perfect again.
Love that.
And he's angry, and then Zachariah shows up and says, as you mentioned, quit hurling feces like a howler monkey, would you? It's unbecoming. Zachariah says that the reason Dean can't go out is because it's too dangerous because there's demons around. And Dean's like, that's a lie. You're lying to me. Be on the lookout for false information in the chat right now. And says that he wants to see Sam. Zachariah says that that's ill-advised. Dean insists. He's like, what the fuck is up? He also calls Zachariah's face smug and fat. Like, whatever. Whatever. Anyway, well, okay, Dean asks how he's gonna ice Lilith. And Zachariah finally drops this info. I don't know why it's happening now.
I think he's just tired.
When you want to wait until after
Lilith
Lilith dies proper? Like, I mean, like, Zachariah's a strategic guy. Like, what is this just like so he can gloat?
I mean, probably.
Okay.
I mean, but also like Dean attempts to turn Cass around, right? And I mean, quite literally, he turns him around. But
yeah,
when Cass refuses, which is Zachariah assumes that probably of everyone. I mean, they did reboot Cass up in heaven already, so, and he did also do all of the things that it was asked of him already. Like, Dean was going to fucking eat that burger, and he was just like, whatevs, let's just eat this fucking burger. And I feel like Zachariah did this to, one, gloat, and two, because he doesn't think there's a way for Dean can effectively fight back.
Right, Zachariah goes, you're not going to ice Lilith. Lilith's going to break the final seal. Train's left the station. And Dean's like, wait, but like me and Sam can stop. And then he realizes, oh, you don't want it to stop, do you?
Yeah, and the color starts...
Yeah, to desaturate.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
It is neat because it's very... Like, it's obvious that... Because the saturation is heavy. Like, it's obvious that it's a different color now. But it is a very slow transition.
Yeah.
Very slow. And I mean, we have, something akin to this in...
With Zachariah in It's a Terrible Life.
In that episode, it's very, snappy. Like, boop, and then it's a different color. And this one, as it's dawning on Dean, it's getting darker and darker and more desaturated and desaturated. And just as you think that it is the most desaturated it will be, it desaturates some more, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The way Zachariah's seated is in front of a mirror, and it's very cool. It's like there's probably like a mirror on both sides of him, so it's like doing like infinite smaller Zachariah in mirrors.
I mean, also because, the mirror is, like, mirrors turn green, Like, that's just how it is. And so, it is quite nice to be that, like, the reflection is, like, kind of greenish already. And as you said earlier, you thought this was the green room because the coloring was so green in the after scene. But, like, I think it is, like, a nice concept to have, like, the farthest reflection be green and then slowly the entire now here becomes greener and greener also. Pretty nice.
Yeah. Zachariah says, nope, we never did. The apocalypse is coming. The stuff about saving seals was a lie to his grunts on the ground in order to prevent a full-scale rebellion. And he goes, would we really let 65 seals get broken unless senior management wanted it that way? You guys are pretty understaffed. Like, yeah, probably. So, Zachariah says that he's pro the apocalypse because all it is a Lee versus Foreman on a larger scale. And once heaven wins, it'll be paradise on earth. What's not to like about that? And Dean asks what happens to all the people during this pissing contest. Zachariah says, you can't make a Tomlet without cracking a few Gregs.
That's literally fucking Tom Wamsgans over there. Literally, like, Dean is like, what about my principles? Shut the fuck up, Dean. You don't have any principles.
You're not even against racism.
Literally.
Yeah, Zachariah's just like, this is no biggie. This isn't the first planetary enema? I never know how to pronounce that word. We've delivered. Which I guess is referring to Noah's Ark and the flood there.
Hell yeah.
Dean is like, what about Sam? He won't go quietly. He'll stop Lilith. And Zachariah says that Sam has a part to play. A very important part. He may need a little nudging in the right direction, but I'll make sure he plays it. And Dean's like, huh? What are you gonna do to him? Zachariah, it's just like, this is when he says Marsha, 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 which is apparently a reference to the Brady Bunch. He tells Dean that this is still your destiny, you're still important to this. You're just not gonna stop Lilith or the apocalypse. You're gonna stop Lucifer. And he points to a painting on the wall, which is like, I don't know what it is meant to portray, but it's like...
It's Michael.
Okay, it's Michael killing
with the sword and the scales. Killing Lucifer.
Why is the painting called Saint Michel Terrasant Le Dragon?
It's Saint Michael.
In the transcript.
That's pronounced Michael.
Okay,
or it's
why
Michael,
is it Saint Michael Terrasant Le Dragon then? I think dragon is just dragon. I don't think dragon just like translates to Lucifer. Also, Saint Michael isn't Michael the Archangel.
No, but Michael the Archangel is always portrayed with the sword and the scales. Okay, Michael the Archangel, also called Saint Michael the Archangel.
What?
Archangel
That's
Michael
so
and Saint
confusing.
Michael the Taxiarch is an archangel in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and the Baha'i faith. Yeah.
That's really confusing.
I mean, we call the baby Jesus Santo Niño, the saint boy. So.
Okay, but yeah, he's killing a dragon, not Lucifer.
Well, I mean, it's a portrayal of Lucifer.
Why is it called the dragon then?
Words meant different things back then.
Did they? Okay.
Probably. I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Who knows?
Okay, there's apparently a dragon mentioned in Revelation, which is not specifically Satan. It's just like an evil thing. Zachariah says, "You're our own little Russell Crowe, complete with surly attitude. Shut the fuck up. Who cares?" And then he says, "And when it's over and when you've won, your rewards will be unimaginable," which I guess is a parallel to what Ruby says to Sam later. Yeah. And then, of course, he has to say, "Peace, happiness, 2 virgins and 70 sluts." Like, shut the fuck up and die forever, perhaps. Dean asks, "Tell me something. Where's God in all this?" And Zachariah goes, "God? God has left the building." And Dean, is like, just there. Like, there's a
Yeah.
dramatic shot of his face.
Yeah.
I feel like the line, God has left the building, is not, like, a good one. Like, the point is that, like, Zachariah's just kind of like a sleazy businessman type, so, like, he
Yeah.
would talk like that and
Use-
deliver
yeah.
that information like that, but, like, I don't, like, God has left the chat type talk for, like, this reveal. It's just
Yeah.
not, just give me Uriel back, please, please, thank you, thanks.
I do want to point out, he says, trust me, one day we'll look back on this and laugh. It's also a parallel to what Ruby will say later. Like,
That's
I know you can't
true.
see it right now, but like, don't worry, in the future, you'll realize that. And I am interested in these kinds of wordings because it's also what Sam says to Dean, right? I know you don't understand now, but perhaps someday you will. Kind of. And
It feels
yeah.
different, but yeah.
it feels different, of course, but, it's about, I like that line. I mean, there's a small scene where Lilith, where there's a guard in the crypt. I don't know. Lilith shows up. And Lilith
In her
now
white dress.
is color-coded, baby. She's in her white dress. And she is still in the tax accountant, whatever that was. Dental hygienist.
Dental hygienist.
that she was in last time we saw her in 418.
Yeah, and they never explained that situation.
They
Like, they literally left that woman on the floor of the motel alive and ready to get repossessed.
Somebody takes the guard away. And then, the implication here is she's here and she has demons with her. Pretty fun.
She delivers a pretty, like, underwhelming line, though. The guard tells her to leave, and she's like, but I'm here for mass, and so are you. Like, what does that mean? Like,
I don't
what
know.
what does being here for mass have to do with the guard getting killed?
I mean, she was offering blood. So I'm assuming the
was
blood
it
is from the
his?
guard.
Okay,
Probably.
so, like,
Maybe.
he's here for mass to be the
blood
of
the blood.
Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Okay, fine. I still think it's a bad line.
Okay. Well, we're in the scene I care about, Gaff completely about, and everything. We're back in the beautiful room, but it is desaturated to hell and back, so it looks uglier than it already did. Dean is trying to call Sam. It's not working. Cass shows up and says, there's no bars. And there literally isn't. Dean says, what are you going to do to Sam? Cass says, nothing. He's going to do it to himself.
So they're not going to change the voicemail? I'm still so stuck on this. Sorry.
I think Ruby changed the voicemail. I fully think Ruby changed the voicemail.
Why is everyone saying Zachariah did it?
Who is saying these things?
I mean, who did you think changed the voicemail before you rewatched this episode?
I did not think about it at all.
Wait, like, the voicemail's like the second biggest deal after Cass in this episode.
Yeah,
Or,
but the casting is such a big deal to me. I had the gaff about anything else.
Wait, like, you...
I knew it
never
happened.
thought about the
I just
okay.
we reference it constantly in the podcast, so obviously we both know
Yeah.
it happens. But I did not care to think about it any deeper than, yeah, the voicemail gets changed.
And there's not, like, a bye blank.
Yeah,
in
there's
that
no
thought.
bi. Yeah, bisexual light,
Okay.
it's nothing to me.
Well, I mean, I think every post I've seen about it says that Zachariah
It's
did
Zachariah. Yeah, I don't
So
know.
you had absolutely no prior on this? Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, no prior, and upon watching, just went, it's Ruby, immediately. So Cass is like walking, I don't know, and Dean is like, what's that supposed to mean? And then Cass is embarrassed again. He is now like standing in front of Dean. They're face to face. Dean goes, oh yeah. Go toe the company line. Why are you here, Cass? So he didn't call Cass. Cass just showed up. Well, Cass goes, oh my god, this is crazy. This is a crazy line to me personally.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
We have been through much together, you and I. And I just wanted to say, I'm sorry it ended like this.
Bro.
First of all, I want to declare to everyone that this line and then like pretty much all the succeeding lines until the what's that? What does Dean say there? Like,
We're done.
We're done. So like all the lines from here until Dean goes, "We're done." I would recite before the line is said while watching it. I am always so shocked when I have a scene memorized in Supernatural, and then I remember that when I was in, I don't know, 9th, 8th grade, I just had like all available Supernatural episodes downloaded on my laptop, and I would just rewatch them constantly, the episodes I liked. So I had this, I think I have this memorized, and I have the join the club. These are not just monsters, Steven, they're Leviathans. And I'm trying to stay one step ahead of them to keep them away from you in season 8. Yeah, I have that memorized. So I think it's this and that. Now, in recent times, I should have stopped you, you're my best friend, but I just let you go, has been added to the list. Okay, let's dissect this line. We've been much together, you and I. What the fuck have we been through? The thing is, we're seeing...
Cass just shows up sometimes and then leaves. Like, what have you been through?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, maybe to Dean and to us, it's like, yeah, this is just a guy that shows up sometimes. But, like, to Cass, it means more than that.
Yeah, in that Sam is, like, Ruby's only, like, emotional connection to a person. Dean is Cass's only emotional connection to a person. Like, Cass thinks they're, like, besties because he talked to him, like, twice, because that's more than he has with anyone else.
Literally, like, Cass threatens him literally to hell. And then, like, he's like, oh my god, are we, like...
What a fun hangout with the bud.
Literally, like, are we gonna crack open a cold one next time? No, but also, like, Cass, because of what he was trying to do with Dean, did get booted up to heaven, you know, and fucking ass-reamed, as Dean puts it.
Yeah, I guess they've been through 418 together.
Yeah.
They've been through 407 together.
Cass has been through much because of
He's
them
also been
together.
through hell with Dean.
But
Dean doesn't remember that.
And Dean doesn't remember. Oh my god. Well, I just wanted to say I'm sorry it ended like this. And I don't know.
He wants forgiveness so bad. Like, he's like, I'm still gonna do this terrible thing, but I want Dean to tell me that it's okay.
I want Dean to tell me that it's okay. Yeah. And I think a part of it is also, like, again, as I've been saying, he has been looking for reasons why he wants to stay here. There must be more to say here.
Yes.
And this I'm sorry is like, he does not have to say this. Because, I mean, no matter what he says, it doesn't matter. But it's like, it's a way to be back here. And, like, I don't know, perhaps he was thinking, like, well, there must be more to be said. And he decided that, for there to not be any more to be said, then I shall proclaim that, 1, the story has ended. Yes. And 2, to say sorry for it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Sam saying, like, sorry to his younger self in, like, 421, where it's clearly like, yeah, I fucked up, but, like, let's just have some closure here. Like, yeah, that happened. That era of my life is over. Sorry. And, like, younger Sam and Dean both refuse to take the apology, and that's what, like, spurs the next actions that the apologizer takes.
Yeah, Dean's pissed at this. He punches Cass. And it's the iconic, like, Cass doesn't even fucking react to it. Just moves his head, and it sounds like a steel, like Dean punch steel.
I had to read the transcript to understand that the punch landed. Like, every time I've watched this scene, I assume that Cass just turned his head really, really fast so that Dean misses.
That is so funny.
Like, I did not know that Dean actually managed to punch him. Like, I was like, I wonder why Dean's hand hurts after that. Just, like, from, like, using the muscle too much and the quickness of the punch. It didn't land.
He strained his hand muscle. So fucking true. He says, it's Armageddon, Cass. You need a bigger word than sorry.
Sorry. Is that bigger?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Cass, like, he becomes a bit more, like, passionate
Yeah, bit frustrated.
Yeah, like, because he has been putting on the more stoic side of himself. Now it's like, no, I really want to convince you, and I'm frustrated that you don't understand. He says, try to
Yeah.
understand. This is long foretold. This is your... And Dean goes, destiny. He loves to finish a sentence.
Yeah.
Don't give me that. Holy crap. It's all a bunch of lies, you poor stupid son of a bitch. To keep... what's that? It's a way for your
It's
bosses
just a
to
way
keep
for your
me
boss.
and keep you in line.
Workers of the world unite,
Unite.
cries Dean Winchester. I do find this
Literally.
kind of language very interesting because earlier Dean also says company line, right? And it's like
Yeah.
whenever Cass is trying to get Dean to be loyal to Heaven, like he uses like family language, like do you promise to like obey Heaven as swiftly as you obeyed the word of your own father? I think he draws like God and John parallels in like earlier
Every single time,
episodes
yeah.
as well, like very often. So like Dean's being like no, like that's a form of like power and obligation that I find valid, but like I'm gonna turn this relationship that you have with like people who are your bosses and like your brothers and sisters at the same time into like fully
Corporate,
a
yeah.
company corporate one as like a form of power and hierarchy that doesn't have like validity to it.
Dean, as I said, asks for the humanist perspective. Dean says, people, families, that's real. And you're gonna watch them all burn. And it is the same sentiment he says in the park,
In
right?
407, yeah.
Yeah. And Cass, again, very much more passionate than we've ever seen him, goes,
Yeah.
what is so worth saving? I see nothing but pain here. I see inside you. I see your guilt, your anger, confusion. In paradise, all is forgiven. You'll be at peace, even with Sam.
He doesn't like believe this.
Yeah, because he like shifts his eyes like down immediately.
Yeah.
He like looks away, kind of in shame, kind of in like, I can't even look you in the eye while I say this.
Oh.
And
Like,
yeah,
what, like, where did he doesn't believe this. Where did he get this from? How did he come up with these ideas given that he doesn't actually believe them himself?
I mean, I think a part of him believes it because he does say it to Jimmy. Like, oh, you'll be in heaven and you'll be at peace, whatever. And you asked me then, like, does Cass really believe that? I don't know.
Oh,
like,
and 420.
yeah, life is short, and then like eternal life in heaven is like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think he fully believes it as much as he does here. More of like it's something that he just has believed on a surface level for a long time, and now that he is confronted in this situation where he is forced to question it, it's kind of falling apart now. So like, yeah, he did believe it, but not that much. He didn't commit to it that much. But now that he is being forced to commit to believing it, it's like, well, do I really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Cass is looking away. Dean follows his eye
Yes.
to make eye contact. And
Yeah.
Cass, does so. What a move, honestly. Have I told you about the time that a therapist did this to me and I was so mad?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was like, that's a Destiel move. What the fuck are you doing?
Real.
This is like one of those things that if somebody does it to you in real life, it's so fucking like, shut the fuck. I'm looking away for a reason. But here it's like, well, anyway, Dean says you can take your piece and shove it up your lily white ass. And then Cass is like, ugh. And then he starts like turning away, turning around. Dean goes, I'll take the pain and guilt. I'll even take Sam as is. But it's better than being some Stepford bitch in paradise. This is simple, Cass. No more crap about being a good soldier. There's a right and there's a wrong here and you know it. And then Cass, who is turned away, Dean grabs his shoulder and forces him to look at him, and he goes, "Look at me."
And it's such a move because like earlier we see like how Cass can take a punch like nothing, like
nothing.
I feel like there's plenty of posts that are about like it's so obvious that Cass gets turned around because he lets himself get turned around.
Yeah. Look at me. You know it. Oh, God. The scene. I love it so much. But yeah, he goes, "You were going to help me once, weren't you? You were going to warn me about all this before they dragged you back into heaven. Back to Bible camp is what he says." And he goes, "Help me now, please." Cass, his eyes are flitting. And he's like, "Okay, what would you have me do?"
Yeah, like he grits it out, and it's so good.
It's not
like
yet.
It's not like an agreement, but it is like,
like
I'll hear you out.
It's like, okay, but what will you make me do? Like, what are the specifics of this? And Dean says, "Get me to Sam. We can stop this before it's too late." And Cass still looking away. He's still looking away. He goes, "I do that, we will all be hunted. We'll all be killed." And Dean just goes, he is like much more calmer now. He goes, "If there's anything worth dying for, this is it." And Cass finally looks at him, like properly. But he shakes his head no. And it's not even explicitly like a shake his head no. It's just kind of like a, "Oh, Dean." Like that kind of shake his head. But, Dean gets that this is like you're not fully on board. And he takes his as, well, then you're not gonna do it. And so he just starts turning around, starts moving away. And I do like that, like a lot of this scene is like very blockings, very blockings. Yes. I mean, we always are like, "Oh my God, Cass sees it." It's all about the blockings. It really is in this scene though, because the whole "look at me, you know it," the meeting the eye, all shit, and it is very. I don't know, something about the whole, "You have to be looking at me while I say this," and the moment Dean was like, "It's over, can't convince you anymore," and he just completely like fucking turns around, like wouldn't even bother to look at Cass anymore. And like as I said, like the appeal here is very like emotional. It's very like as a person talking to another person, hear me out. Cass is an angel. We have seen him like recognize Anna, for example, without looking and stuff like that. So there is a sense of like Cass doesn't have to be doing the whole looking you in the eye to actually see you. But because Dean is trying to level him down here with the humans who will all die if you don't do anything, he is also trying to meet him eye to eye, literally, as a human being. So Dean turns around, he goes, "You soulless, you spineless, soulless son of a bitch. What do you care about dying? You're already dead anyway. We're done." And Cass, at this moment, the moment Dean starts going, "You spineless, stupid," he goes statue mode. Just fully like chin up. Because this entire time, like this entire episode pretty much, he has been on his chin down, embarrassed, ashamed format. And this is like one of the times where he does put his chin up and he is trying to do statue mode. But, Dean says, "We're done." And he goes, "It's still in statue mode." He just goes, "Dean." And then Dean just goes, "We're done."
Yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. It's not horrible. It's great.
I like that Dean says, like, there's a right and a wrong here, and you know it. Because it is true. Like, it's very important to me that it isn't just, like, Cass did this because he likes Dean. Like, Cass fully believes in, like, Dean's values and in stopping the apocalypse. Yeah. It's just that he doesn't really have the push that he needs to act on it.
What is important to me is that he said, "We will all be hunted, we will all be killed." What he commits himself to is, okay, I'll be killed. But Sam and Dean, I will stay here and be killed if it means you get to do what you want to do, which is to stop Sam. Yeah. Because, I mean, he ends it there, like, I'll hold them off, I hold them all off. That's a suicide mission. He was willing to die. He was like, this is a stupid plan because if you go out there, you're going to die. This is what he's saying, right? And so his action plan was then, well, Dean is not going to die, even if it means I am. Like, Cass not fighting back before this. Well, first of all, he was going to in 420. But now that we're here in 422 and the situation is what it is, I understand why he feels like it's impossible to do now. Because, like, every step of the way is like, there's a roadblock here. Well, we're going to go out and then we're going to die and it's going to happen anyway. What's the point? Here, Dean is saying, it's worth dying for. That's what Cass hears, really. Like, I think it's very important to point out here that Cass did not think that there's going to be a season 5 for him.
Yeah.
Like, Cass did not think of this as, like, there's going to be a continuation to this story for him. I mean, I did joke around. I mean, not joke around. I said it sincerely in the past that, like, what really moves Cass to, like, actually start doing it is Dean being like, I'm never going to talk to you again.
Yeah,
and like, there is a perspective.
That's not really it.
I think there is a perspective, though, where this will all go down. And I will always carry this. Like, not necessarily Dean not talking to me, like, that thing. But, like, the reason why that is because there was a right and wrong here, and I didn't do it.
Wait, what does that have to do with we're done, though?
I think it's the same logic that I applied to the why Sam and Dean, in Dean's perspective, need to reconcile right now before it goes down. Because it's like, okay, like, let's assume Cass lives forever. Which she does, thank God. And Dean gets to stop the apocalypse. Cass will always remember it as, and I didn't help him do that. Dean doesn't stop the apocalypse. And then it's like, I was part of that. I didn't help him stop the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still don't see how that's at all related to we're done.
I don't know. Maybe I'm retracting what I said in the past.
Okay.
I don't know. I do think about how when Cass comes back is when Dean has, quote, given up. Like, he was like, oh, whatever. I'm never going to be able to contact Sam. I'm just going to be in this green room until the apocalypse starts. I'm just going to eat this fucking burger. And that's when Cass is like, let's go. And I do think part of it is like, well, don't give up. You know? I do not want to oversell Dean's part in Cass's decision, but I do not want to undersell it also. Like, the fact that it's Dean asking and that they have been much together, he and Cass, it means something that he's the one saying all this. And the words he had chosen to use, which is, yeah, we're going to die, whatever, man, this is worth dying for. Like, that is something.
And he finally found some. I think that the word done, I think the purpose of that is just that, like this isn't something that you can negotiate further, or that you can convince yourself into thinking that this is correct. Like, this is my ultimatum right now. And he finally found someone for whom ultimatum language works.
For
so it's
real.
not about, like, he's not going to talk to Dean anymore. It's just like this is a clear right and wrong thing, and you just have to make your decision now.
Yeah. Like what I was saying earlier, like, no matter what decision he makes now and no matter how it pans out because of that decision, like, he is always going to carry that. In this moment where there was a right and wrong, I did not commit to the bit.
Yeah.
I also, in that line, you spineless, soulless son of a bitch, what do you care about dying? You're already dead, we're done. I feel like we have focused so much on the word done, when I think we should be focusing on the what do you care about dying? You're already dead. Which I think is, like, the more meaningful to Cass line. Like, I mean, Cass specifically has been rebooted to hell and back, you know? Like, he's missing huge chunks of his memory. I mean, he has lost much of his garrison, who he has spent, like, many thousands of years with. Like, these are
That's true, because all of them either got killed by Uriel, or they defected to Uriel's side.
Yeah, prison. Yeah. So he has lost his, quote, family. The family that he now has are horrible to him. He doesn't have much of his memories. God is nowhere to be seen. I think it does hit for Cass. Like, this is something worth dying for. And also, like, nothing's going on with my life. Might as well. He's bored, guys.
Yeah.
He's bored on a Friday evening. Yeah.
God, he's pathetic.
There must be something in Cass, just like Jimmy, who is unsatisfied with, his life. And, this is a way to make a difference. God, imagine being an angel and being like, oh, I can't change anything. Just like Aziraphale for real. Except he did think he can.
Oh, Aziraphale.
I'm not consulted in policy decisions, Crowley. I think we had an ask once where it was like, what is the similarities between, supernatural and good omens? Do you see influences in specifically good omens to supernatural direction? And I said, I don't think it's this. They're trying to say the same message. I think this is the one where it's like, not the influence necessarily, but I can see like why someone who likes supernatural may like good omens, This one specifically, like this conversation specifically.
So Cass disappears after the word dawn. Now we're back to Sam on the road 2 miles away from St. Mary's Convent.
I can't believe they kept this fucking sign.
Yeah. And, Cindy's screaming in the trunk, and Ruby tells Sam that it is time for him to drink her. And Sam says that he needs a minute, and then yells it when Ruby insists. And he plays the voicemail on his phone, and it is not the one that Dean sent. Instead, it says, "Listen to me, you blood-sucking freak. Dad always said I'd either have to save you or kill you. Well, I'm giving you fair warning. I'm done trying to save you. You're a monster, Sam. A vampire. You're not you anymore. And there's no going back." And,
Crazy.
as this is playing, Sam closes his eyes, almost, immediately once the tone is felt. And he's just, breathing deeply and having a bad time.
Yeah.
And we cut to Ruby having a fun little smirk behind his back. And then Sam is, almost teary, but, he closes the phone. And then he tells Ruby, "Do it." We don't see Sam drink Cindy, but that is the implication. Zachariah has mind-reading powers, and Ruby doesn't. I think the save you or kill you is something Sam could have told Ruby, though. So, interested in how that came up in their conversations.
Yeah.
Probably, in the same conversation as the Stanford fight reveal, where it's just, Dean sucks.
Yeah. Or, Dad sucks.
Yeah, Dad sucks, and Dean has not displayed any particular aversion to the way John sucks.
We are back in the beautiful room. And as I've been saying, that Dean is just walking. And then he's just like, "Whatevs?" And then takes a burger. And he is about to eat it when he gets grabbed by Cass. There's also some theories here that, perhaps the food is, there's
Persephone.
there. Yeah. Which is because they do make a point of being and Dean doesn't eat or drink anything.
Yeah,
and denies every offer in the room.
Yeah. It's more symbolic than anything, but there could be something in it.
There could be, but again, it's more of a...
Yeah.
I agree with you. Just whatever.
Comforting yourself.
Comforting yourself and also giving into the illusion of it, of the comfort. So yeah, Cass shows up, grabs Dean, and puts a mouth. No, puts a mouth over his mouth. Puts a hand over his mouth. You wish, but corners him up against the wall, and then takes out a knife.
Yes, and the
whole time,
I love this next moment.
Looking at Cass, looking at Dean, just looking at him, and Dean is just looking back, and then slowly he nods his head.
Crazy.
What the God?
The amount of trust you have to have. This is shoved against the wall, hand over his mouth, takes out a knife, and Dean can still see the look in Cass's face for what it is, which is if I take my hand off, will you be quiet? He can understand that, and he trusts Cass enough to think that this is for my benefit. I really will not scream if he takes the hand off.
God, it's crazy. Cass removes the mouth thing. He takes the knife, cuts his forearm, and then he starts really bleeding out, apparently.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot.
he's taking the blood. He makes Dean move to the side, and the wall Dean was just pressed up against gets drawn with blood of the angel sigil that we will see constantly forevermore. Zachariah shows up, and Cass is not yet done. And Zachariah's like, "Oh, Castiel, what are you doing?" And then Cass finishes his sigil, puts his palm up against it, and then there is this white light, and Zachariah hands up, vanishes. I love the pose, honestly.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I don't think other angels pose like this when they get fucking sigiled in later episodes, but what else?
Yeah.
And Cass goes, he won't be gone long. We have to find Sam now. He says we need to stop him from killing Lilith. And Dean goes, but Lilith's gonna break the final seal. And Castiel goes, Lilith is the final seal.
She dies, the end begins.
It is so dramatic, and I love to quote it because it's so fun to say.
Yeah.
And also, this moment, when Cass starts speaking, when he goes, he won't be gone long. We have to find Sam now. So many thoughts are running in my head. Number one, this is Cass now. Like, this is our Cass from here on out. This is how he is, pretty much. Oh my god, I've missed him. Isn't that so crazy? Like, we've been watching Cass this entire season. And this is like the first time, really, where I go, oh, like, he's here. I don't know. It's something to me that this is him. And also, this is like Team Free Will now, you know?
I mean, Sam's not really in it.
This is true. But, like, to me, Team Free Will is just Cass having free will.
Okay, it's just Cass having free will, real.
But, you know, to me, it's like Cass is here with Dean and they're going out to save Sam. Like, this is like Team Free Will shenanigans, right? Number two, like, a part of the reason why I think that is because the way he speaks here, like with the urgency that he does, he is fully out of statue mode, you know? That is our Cass.
It's all blazing eye contact and all that shit.
When he starts acting like this again, every single time, Dean is like, what the fuck is going on? In season 6, it happens. Season 8, it happens. Oh, Cass.
You were saying earlier how Cass only shows up once Dean's about to eat the burger.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like he was waiting and watching, I feel like. And I feel like the whole time he was like, well, I think, okay, he went off to have a little thinky think. And also he was like, and I think during the thinky think, he was like, okay, yeah, like, I 100% think this is wrong and I want to stop the apocalypse. But, like, I'm scared. Like, maybe Dean will just, like, figure out how to get out by himself?
And then he was like, oh, he's not gonna fucking do it. He's eating a fucking burger.
He's about to eat a fucking burger. Alright, I'm coming in.
Yeah, you're right.
Cass.
Well, yeah. But this is where we are now.
It's true.
I mean, yeah, it's Team Free Will. It's Cass now. Maybe I dreamed about him for 29 years before I saw him. Which is untrue.
We're at Chuck's house and he's on the phone with an escort service. I don't know, he's just saying shit like, really? At the same time? Wow, that sounds moist. What the fuck could that be about?
What is he talking? I have no idea. I have no idea why that is the word chosen, but go Chuck. He's a writer.
Yeah, apparently hiring one sex worker for 1 hour costs $1,000. Hey, isn't this guy bisexual? Like, this is like a women-only escort service. I demand representation where he calls a multi-gender escort service.
Literally. Like, there's more representation in that one time where Gabriel got massaged by a guy. Like, while playing poker or whatever that they mentioned in the LGBT character list.
Oh my god,
Supernatural Wiki. Yeah.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
Chuck says that he wants 20 girls for the whole night. Cause sometimes you gotta live like there's no tomorrow. And I mean, I think this is just annoying to me because it continues the pattern of like Zachariah offering Dean two characters from Gilligan's Island. Like, Ruby and Lilith are in this episode, but like, they're like demons. I don't know, like, it's like women don't exist in the apocalypse except as like balms to soothe the souls of the men who are suffering is just like the vibe of these things being the same episode. It's annoying. Cass and Dean show up. Chuck is like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. We have a quick cut to Lilith in St. Mary's convent. Like, she's setting up some kind of a ritual. And then she tells one of her demon people, don't be afraid. We're going to save the world. So, okay, they don't get into the specifics, but the idea is that she's trying to set up some kind of ritual to protect herself against Sam so that she can't be killed, so then the world will saved.
Not end. Yeah.
As a result.
It is confusing to me. Like, why are you here? Why are you
Yeah.
This
like
is
at
the
the
gate.
place where Lucifer's, like, gate opens.
Yeah.
Like, do your ritual elsewhere. Like, don't be in the place where I get murdered, SWAT.
And, I mean, the way
like,
it
not
is,
get murdered.
The way it seems is her blood pours out and then opens the portal, right?
Yeah.
So
be somewhere else, girl.
Be somewhere else, and if you're going to die, at least make them work for it. Make them put the fucking blood there themselves, you know? Like, dude, come on.
So after this happens, it's like a bunch of her people are in the halls, but then there's a sound, and then she looks out, and all of them
They're
have
all
fallen
dead.
to the ground, like dead or some
good
shit.
Shot. I
It's
love it.
great.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sam and Ruby, they're walk fashion babying down this corridor full of demon corpses that Sam just fells with his mind. Good for him.
Yeah. And like with absolutely no effort whatsoever.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't even look phased
no straining,
at all.
no nosebleeds, no headaches.
Like, he doesn't even lift a finger, I think.
Yeah.
But we don't really see the moment, so who knows? But I don't think he does, like, for real.
Yeah. It looks very effortless.
Yeah, we go back to Dean and Cass and Chuck. And also, like, I just want to point out that when they show up, it is a pretty funny shot because they're just standing there, like, completely straight-faced. Like, mommy, I threw up situation.
Yeah.
But they've asked where Sam is, and it's like, yeah, St. Mary's, a convent. And Chuck goes, but you guys aren't supposed to be there. You're not in this story. And Cass goes, yeah, well, we're making it up as we go. And Dean just looks at him like, it is so fascinating. Oh, we haven't talked about, like, Dean's face this entire time.
Who cares? But yeah.
Oh, I do a little bit, but, because it is in shock. Like, he wanted Cass to help him.
Yes.
I just don't think he thinks Cass would help him to this degree. Perhaps Cass's assertiveness is surprising. Because, like, I feel like a lot of the help me is like, I want to do something. You will, like, I will instruct you on how to do it kind of situation. That's his expectation. He just didn't expect Cass to be like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what
Cass
we're going to do.
made the plan and all that. Yeah.
And, I mean, to be fair, Cass has the information and also the power to get things done. But Cass is the head of his garrison. Yeah, he has leadership skills, man. I mean, it's not like they removed Anna and, like, Cass didn't replace her for no reason. I think maybe there is a reason.
Well, and even if he did replace her for no reason, he had 20 years to build up that portfolio.
Literally. What were they doing in those 20 years?
Chilling. I don't know.
He was good at, leadership skills in chilling, hanging out. He took a degree in hanging out with me, as that one Tumblr post says.
What is that post?
It goes, you guys can't be having majors in stuff like forensic entomology. You have to major in hanging out with me and having fun with me. That's what Cass did. That's literally what Cass did in the 20 years. And he was thrown into a fucking hell mission trip. And now he's back and he is better than ever.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Dean is like surprised by this. And also, I think the making it up as we go. because Cass has treated the rebelling with so much apprehension the whole time. Like, even in the, 420, which is the closest thing to revealing this information to Dean that he got, he was like so scared, meet me here, we can talk here, all that crap. In 418, right? He had to do the roundabout way of telling how to get rid of Lilith. And here it's just Cass just straight up going, we're making it up as we go. Here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're gonna do, blah, blah, blah. And it must be surprising. And, I mean, it looks like it. Chuck's computer, which says, what's it? Lucifer Rising? Chuck Shirley starts, flickering. And then, place is rumbling, blah, blah, blah. Chuck just goes, "Oh, not again." And yeah, Cass says, "It's the Archangel.
Which one? Tell me which one." Like, the Archangel makes it seem like there's only one of them. There's like 3 of those guys available.
He says, "I'll hold him off. I'll hold them all off. Just stop Sam." And then Cass grabs Dean's head. He is now in the convent.
Cass's voice when he shouts sounds so hoarse, and it's cute.
Cass just stands there and looks as the fucking bright light comes closer and closer to them. And Chuck is standing beside him. And Chuck looks up at him, because he is shorter, and puts his hand on Cass's, shoulder / the crook of his neck. Cass just looks at this and looks at Chuck. And Chuck's like, and then drops his hand. But oh my god. I mean, this scene does mean something to me. We have gone back and forth all the way with Chuck and his situation right now. Who is he right now? Who does he understand himself to be right now? Mm-hmm. But, as you said once, he will throw away the entire script and God will put his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
By the end of this season. We go back to the convent. We're going to be here the rest of the episode. Lilith is cornered onto the fucking altar in a really weird pose. She's raising her hands up. I do not like this pose. But
right, it seems too much like a bondage sex thing.
Yeah. I feel like it's too much of a we're still trying to make her look good type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you if it was like a male demon, what do you think the pose would be?
That is an interesting question.
Probably standing, honestly, but just backed up against the altar. Maybe arms by the side, but out a little bit.
Sam is starting to, I think, exercise her or whatever, do something. But Dean comes around the corner and he's running whatever. And Ruby sees this. She turns around and she gives this smirk, this look. And she closes the door with her magic powers.
The moment. It's such a good shot.
As you said, Sam's heartbeat, it's here. It's now.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I have been waiting for this for a very long time." Oh, I was wrong. He still wasn't electrocuting / killing her at this point. But
no, yeah.
Yeah. Lilith goes, "Give me your best shot." And Sam does so. Just fucking white lights her. And then he hears Dean go, "Sam," from behind the door. And he falters. He stops the killing, whatever. And he hears Sam. And then we pan over and we see that Ruby is on the side screaming. And then the sounds are faint. Because I suppose the power rush or whatever, the heartbeat, Sam's not hearing all these clearly. But as we go to Ruby, we realize that she's also been screaming. And it becomes louder and louder slowly. And Dean's also there. And as I said, there was this weird, not weird, I suppose. It's we go to Ruby and she's in focus. And then we go to Sam and then we go back to Ruby. But she's not in focus anymore. The door is now in focus.
The door.
Stuff like that.
I mean, you can't show Dean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the way that
He's
when
adorable.
Sam falters and he turns around, he looks very devastated, I think, at the sound almost. And like, this is a Sam that thinks that the voicemail is real.
Yeah.
So like, what does he think about Dean showing up
Dean is here to kill
now?
him?
Is it like is it like he hasn't given up on me and this is like a nice good development?
I don't know.
Or
I couldn't
is it
read
like he's
Sam's
coming to fucking
face.
kill me?
Well, because I try to think benevolently of the situation. And like, I know that Dean is here to whatever, and has wanted to be here even before he knew that. I think my brain just automatically was like, Sam is seeing this as like a benevolent thing, and Dean is here.
Yeah.
For me, whatever that means, but in the positive way.
Yeah, I think the way that he reacts when Dean finally gets through does seem like he thinks that Dean is here for him in a positive way.
Hasn't given up on him. Yeah. Lilith says, you turn yourself into a freak, a monster, and now you're not gonna bite. I'm sorry, but this is honestly adorable. Why is she saying this?
Yeah, why is she egging him on? Like,
Just
I thought she
kill me,
really
Sam.
did not
I
wish to
can't
die.
I can't believe you're not gonna kill me, Sam. How pathetic of you. You should kill me.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I just don't get it. I think it's just the thing where it's like, they don't want to make her like sympathetic, so they're just like, she's so arrogant that she would rather die taunting him than try to save her life. Whatever. Like, okay, maybe that's true, but also like, this is stupid. She should be running or trying to.
Yeah, Sam does so. In the process, his eyes like turn black.
Yeah.
And then Lilith is dead, and the sounds calm down.
As Lilith dies, she like falls to the ground, and then there's blood that starts coming out of her. It is forming like a spiral, like it is not flowing regular style.
Spiral with some spikes on the side, yeah.
Yes, looks cool. And Sam goes, "What the hell?" And Ruby like steps. Ruby steps closer to him and towards like the bloodline and goes, "I can't believe it." And Sam's confused. Like, post the Lilith like killing and all of that, like, I don't know, like, he's kind of sweaty, he's kind of flushed, he looks quite young because of the way his hair is disheveled. It's very much so like, he's sympathetic again, you guys, kind of look. Yeah, so he asks what's going on, and Ruby goes, "You did it. I mean, it was a little touch and go there for a while, but you did it. You opened the door, and now he's free at last. He's free at last." And she's having a great time. Sam is having a terrible time.
Yeah.
He's like, "What? I stopped Lilith and I killed her." And Ruby says, "And it is written that the first demon shall be the last seal," which I guess is the little bit of like this being Ruby's religion that they've put into this episode.
Hell yeah.
And she goes, "And you bust her open. Now guess who's coming to dinner?" Not a very good line. I think. I don't know. Keep your fucking, like, images consistent with each other or whatever. And Sam goes, "Oh my god." And Ruby goes, "Guess again." She thinks she's so funny, and you know what? She is.
It is so fun, the what the hell, guess again, oh my god, guess again.
Yes.
Like, good for them.
Running up that hill, Cass and Ruby in season 4 AMV, You Will Always Be Famous, starts doing her little villain monologue that she isn't aware is a villain monologue. And I think it's very fun. She goes, "You don't even know how hard this was. All the demons out from my head. No one knew. I was the best of those sons of bitches. The most loyal. Not even Alistair knew. Only Lilith. Yeah, I'm sure you're a little angry right now, but I mean, come on, Sam. Even you have to admit, I'm awesome." Oh, I love arrogant women. I heart arrogant women. Let's go, baby. You're right that the awesome is, like, probably not the best way to end the line. Some of the writing for Ruby's dialogue, kind of odd. But, I mean, I do like the sentiment a lot that, like, this whole time she's been holding back, like, the whole time she's been like, oh my god, and then I got Sam to do this, and then I got him to do this, and she's like, I'm so smart, but I can't even tell anyone. Like, finally she has the shot to, like, be like, and I was so cool, are you proud of me?
I do appreciate that Ruby here is so obviously like, oh my god, can you believe it worked? Oh my god, isn't that so cool? Because, like, I mean, beginning of Ruby was, like, very much this very, very cool girl with a blade that kills demon comes and just slices and dices and then heads out. I'm the girl who just saved your ass. And, you know, like, immediately, like, she is so cool. And that is how she is, like, the rest of the time she's here. And then here, you kind of see behind the curtain of, like, she's cool because she wants to be, you know? And it's like, inside she's like, oh my god, wasn't this just amazing what I just did? And, like, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and then I made Dean call him a vampire in the voicemail, and then I did that. Like, happy for her, but this happiness will be short-lived. Is not shared by Sam, who goes, you bitch, you lying bitch. I wish he'd used something else. I don't know, like, can't you just find another word or just another way to express it? Like,
exactly.
It like, doesn't have to be gendered, she can just be a total asshole.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it does now feel like, you know, like, I can't help but feel like now it looks like
a lover's
Sam wasn't being misogynistic to Ruby because of the affection or what she can do or whatever. And now that, like, that's off the table, then this is on the table. And I do not like that idea.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, only certain types of women with certain uses to me are immune from misogyny. Well, I do not like that.
Like, it's like, finally, I can use Dean's terms for Ruby again. Ruby has done some pretty terrible things to Sam, but, like, let's be a little better in your response. It's not, like, a big deal, but, like, I think the Supernatural writers, I don't know, I think there are implications that they may have thought through and thought, like, okay, that's fine, perhaps even intended. He tries to fucking kill her with his powers, but it doesn't work. He gets a big ol' headache, and he falls to the ground, clutching his head. There's demon blood all over the floor right now. You can laugh that up to repower Sam. Maybe it'll prevent the spiral from forming.
For real. And, I mean, does it matter what kind of demon blood you're drinking?
I don't think so.
I mean, Azazel only did a few drops and Sam was super powered. But maybe that's because you were a little baby. So, I don't know.
Yeah, like the percentage of your body mass that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus Sam,
now
who
he's
is
ginormo,
6'4" and ginormo, so yeah, he needs a lot more.
Yeah. But yeah, Ruby goes, don't hurt yourself, Sammy. It's useless. You shot your payload on the boss. I wish that it was, like, because you drank, like, mostly my blood, like, it doesn't work against me. Like, I feel like that's what I thought it was when I, like, knew that he tried to kill her, but it didn't work. But yeah, no, he just used up all his powers. Sad. Sam goes, the blood. You poisoned me. And Ruby, okay, she says this speech that we've been, like, debating over, like, what the fuck does this mean regarding Sam, his powers, and what the demon blood does. So, what she says is, no, it wasn't the blood. It was you and your choices. I just gave you the options, and you chose the right path every time. You didn't need the feather to fly, you had it in you the whole time, Dumbo. So, like, the blood you poisoned me, no, it wasn't the blood, it was your choices. Like, that doesn't... like, I don't know if that's, like, about powers.
I have no idea what this means now.
It's very confusing to me, because I think it's well established that demon blood actually does do something. It's not just psychological. Like, Sam has to
Yeah.
juice up on those demons to kill them in My Bloody Valentine. And to, like, have Lucifer possess him. So, like, it is not, like, about the demon blood not doing anything. Like, what is it? Just that, like, what's more important is that you made the choices? Or it's like, I didn't poison you, you chose that. Like, what is she talking about?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was like, it's not the blood. It was you. It's about the, you poisoned me.
Yeah.
The blood does do something. But like, I didn't poison you. You drank it yourself.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
But you didn't need the feather to fly. You hadn't used the whole time, Dumbo. Like, you didn't need me to tell you.
Maybe.
You were gonna do it anyway.
Maybe she's the feather, sure. Quite confusing, but okay, that's an interpretation that works, I suppose, with the sentences given. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely misrepresenting this. But I do think that she thinks that this is true. Like, I don't know, like, you know, each time you present your personal Jesus with two paths, and you misrepresent the paths and lie to him, but, like, he still chooses the right one, and you're like, he's continuing to pass my personal Jesus tests, good for him. And she goes, I know it's hard to see it now, but this is a miracle. And, also she's, like, he's on the ground, and she's been, like, kneeling in front of him talking, and I think, like, touching his face or stroking his hair or, like, getting close to doing that. She says, so long coming. Everything Azazel did and Lilith did just to get you. What did Lilith do to get him here? I thought she didn't want to die. Okay, she was told later. And earlier she sent Dean to hell and stuff in order to get it to happen. I guess that's what Ruby's talking about. Just to get you here. And you were the only one who could do it. And Sam, tearing up, so upset, goes, why? Why me? And Ruby goes, because it had to be you, Sammy. It always had to be you. You saved us. You set him free, and he's gonna be grateful. He's gonna repay you in ways that you can't even imagine. We've already discussed the, like, how much does she know thing. I still don't know how much does she know. It always had to be you. Like, that is because of, like, Sam's, like, vessel compatibility, but, like, does she know that? I guess we'll never know, because, you know, she's gonna be dead immediately after this. But yeah, it does make me sad that she thought that this was a good thing. Like, every time she did an I'm a sicko smirk, like, from her perspective, it was, like, a cute little, like, my plan to create good in the world is working out. Dean finally manages to break in through the door. Ruby stands up and goes, you're too late. And Dean says, I don't care. And then as Dean rushes forward with the knife, Sam, who's behind Ruby, stands up and then holds her in place as Dean stabs her once, twists the knife. His face is very gritted and like, whatever. And then she falls to the ground and she is dead. Ugh.
It is so annoying because all of the reaction shots are Dean. All of it.
Yeah, like, this is like Sam's, like,
moment.
Friend or whatever. Like,
he was the one who got betrayed.
Mattered to him.
Like, literally, we were just talking about how he got betrayed, you know? Like, why is his face not here? I don't know. Part of it is like, well, it's difficult to get him in there because it's an awkward shot. They can't have them together in the same shot because Sam is too tall. It is awkward to, like, have Ruby's face and then cut to a little bit above to Sam's face. But, I mean, they can pan to Dean and then to Sam's face and then back to Dean and then to Ruby. I don't know. They can work it out. I believe in them.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. I'm annoyed. Like, I guess we're just supposed to be like, we know how Sam feels already, because, like, obviously he had a sad face earlier, and now this is just the action proving that he's finally done with that demon bitch. But, like, whatever. Also, it should have been Sam. Sam should have done it. Like, I know it would not work with the blocking or with the anything, but, should not have been Dean. Ruby dies. Sam says to Dean, very sadly, I'm sorry. And then the portal that Lilith's blood is forming has finally completed, and there's a really bright white light like that shoots up from the middle of it, and everything is shaking, and Dean says, Sammy, let's go. And
They're
they
like holding
both,
each other both
hold,
like
yeah,
by the
each other by
like
the shirt.
by the shirt, and they're both like trying to go
Yeah.
the opposite direction, which is so
Yeah.
funny to me.
Sam says, Dean, he's coming. And then the like white comes in and covers like the screen, and we get the first bit of the credits like in black text on the white, but then it goes back to regular supernatural mode. So yeah,
Nice.
that was the episode.
Well, what did we think of it?
I think just because I knew everything that was going to happen, and I'd seen bits and bobs of it there, like in like gift sets and AMVs, like seeing it all put together in order and acted out with like voices did not actually add anything
much.
to
Yeah.
me. So it was mostly just quite underwhelming, and I was quite bored through a lot of it.
I liked it. I think this is a very good season finale for season 4.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It is true.
Okay.
Okay. What's our next bit? Best line, worst line.
Yeah.
I mean, the first line to make me go ugh was, of course, the line that the priest says, which is
Yeah.
shut your freaking pie hole, you little slut. And it set the tone for this episode for how the women will be treated, which is a tone that has already been set by literally every single Supernatural episode prior. So I don't know why I was too surprised. But I mean, like we have talked about in the past how like how we become immune to like misogyny in Supernatural. And it's like, well, I mean, maybe I have some of it, but they find new ways to shock me over and over again.
Life finds a way.
Literally.
I disliked Zachariah's 2 virgins and 70 sluts thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Shut the
first,
fuck
like, every
up,
time
yeah.
people, like, reference that, like, they're usually being Islamophobic and he's being sexist at the same time. Like, not a win for anybody.
Best line. I'm going to have a little think. I am fond of if there's anything to die for, this is it. I mean, I've gotten into it. But I think, that entire conversation, that is the crux of it. I think, because, I think that also means so much more to say to a being who is theoretically immortal, right?
Immortal, yeah.
Like, you will never die. But if you are going to, and that is a choice you will make, do it for this. It's that important.
I liked we've been through much together, you and I just wanted to say I'm sorry it ended like this.
He's
Because,
crazy.
I mean, pretty crazy.
Yeah. And they will go through so much more. This is their first season together, and he's like, we've been through so much.
So much?
So much.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how much you've been through.
Yeah, like, I saw you, 5 times? Like, wild.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, what's your next bit?
Spread those sheets.
Okay, let us then spread our sheets.
There is misogyny.
Obviously.
Would you call it intrinsic to the episode?
This is also the culmination of Ruby's plot. I would...
Yes.
So, I am just throwing it in there.
I mean, if we're rating, all of Ruby, I would go up to a 4, but I feel like we've distributed Ruby, points throughout the seasons, so I think feels more 3-ish to me. What do you think?
I think a part of why the Ruby stuff makes me so mad is that the killing her is portrayed a lot like Dean hates this bitch than just she did anything wrong. As Gabe, my friend, said in the past, Dean just calls Ruby a bitch for 2 seasons and then stabs her. And like, yeah, that's their plot. The two of them. That's their plot. Okay, let's go with the 3 since we don't dole out the 4s that much.
Racism. 1 for the 2 virgins, 70 sluts.
Yeah. Actually, I want to increase the misogyny.
Okay, 4.
I feel
Let's
like
do it.
even like the beginning of the episode is the nun scene. I don't like it.
Yeah.
The way they like
did
every single
you,
this line that they drop, that it's horrible. So yeah.
Yeah.
Homophobia.
They killed Cass.
They
I don't think there was homophobia.
Instantly. It was homophobic that they didn't let Chuck use a
multi-gender escort agency.
Literally.
Yeah, for real. But I guess that's a 0.
Though, so it's a 5 total. 1 racism, 4 misogyny.
Yeah.
Well,
there we go.
I suppose you will do like a little something for this in our for our finale.
Yeah. I suppose I will.
I suppose you must. Okay, so IMDb.
Highly rated.
Last episode was a 8.5. That is so shocking to me. Maybe perhaps I would say that, well, this is one definitely highly rated. One of the highest rated, I'm sure. You know what? On the head of a pin, I rated 9.4 and it ended up being a 9.1. I'll put the same bet, 9.4.
Okay, because I was thinking more in the 9.0 range, but I think that might be too low. I might say 9.1.
Do you think you benefit a bit from the fact that I'm the first one who guesses always?
First?
Yeah.
If I benefited, then I would get more right.
Well, maybe you would get so much more wrong if, I did not go first. But alas, let's do it. Lucifer Rising. I am a DB. We didn't even talk about the fact that there was like a whole thing with Lucifer Rising.
What was
it trended,
the whole thing?
And they were like, whatever. They thought the Lucifer's Rising. 9.3 over 10.
Oh, good job. You did it.
I did it.
Well, you didn't do it, but I mean,
yeah,
you basically did it. Congrats.
Exactly. I mean, this one says, I can honestly say that I saw none of it coming, and my god, it was amazing.
Well, this one says, I'm glad Dean was never wrong about Ruby being a liar and manipulative, and I enjoyed seeing her die. She was the real monster at the end of the book.
She literally was not. This one, I did find this funny. All the cast was above terrific. Jared, Jensen, Misha, Jim, Robin, Kurt. You guys deserve a reward. And I have to mention a very special lady, Genevieve Padalecki. Though I started off preferring Katie Cassidy as Ruby, I have to say. They felt
this
like
one,
they had to say. That's so funny.
Another one down there, lists, Jensen Ackles, Jim Beaver, Jared Padalecki, and Misha Collins, perfection. Kurt Fuller gave a wonderful performance as well. Genevieve Padalecki was wooden as always.
I did find this, I think this was the most polite way to say it. All the cast was above terrific, and then lists all the men who were there. Wow, they deserve rewards. And also, I would like to mention Genevieve Padalecki. And also, I would like to mention that I like the previous actor for her character. I have to say.
Yeah.
I love this. This one says, you might not have been too surprised by what transpired, but it is an amazing setup to what is sure to be a phenomenal season 5, which is the complete opposite to what was said earlier about never seeing anything coming. I do find it fascinating to look at reviews from the time, because obviously we are quite removed from the time, and also we know everything. So
yeah, another one says a fabulous finale, -1 for Genevieve Padalecki's god-awful acting. Now I feel bad for saying she's a bad actor. It's I feel like there's an amount of negative energy that should exist out there in the universe towards her acting. And like it
And
seems
it's
like the
already been
amount of
fulfilled.
negative energy
Yeah.
is sufficient already, if not too much. So like I would like to retract all the negative energy I have added. I think she's fine, actually. Ignore everything I've been saying for a year.
For a year?
Not a year. How long has it been since? I mean,
Season 4.
when did that start?
Let us look at when we released season 4. It was definitely this year because we got Danica in here. No, last year, 2023.
Oh my god! Wait, episode 61 was in April 2023.
That's
so it's been
crazy.
almost a year.
Why does it not show the specific date?
April 14th.
April 14th. Well, what happened to all the pussy in Supernatural?
Thank you. Someone said that they will definitely miss Ruby. You're correct.
Yeah.
Cubs and Culture said that both actresses who played Ruby are bad. That is not true. You apologize to Katie Cassidy right now.
Katie Cassidy is amazing. That's it for this episode of Busty Asian Beauties. Next week, we will be discussing season 4 in general.
Follow us on social media. We are on Tumblr at bustyasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is badpod, BABpod. Thanks to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/bustyasianbeautiespod, which is where our outtakes live. And check out our merch at badpod.redbubble.com.
Yeah. You can email us any feedback, comments, inquiries of bustyasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.